give us stipends for science for now? Are you controlling the story? Telling to this order? Because I'll need to work on Mr. Little's what?
We're just gonna.
That's it.
No law change the minimum requirements.
That's
why I'm here.
If I have a mouse, I can do it.
Come on here. I already told her about that.
I didn't have that written up there.
Yeah, she said it was like 3 days.
It's like 3.
Well, the word, school teacher, trim it all around.
I can't trim it off yet. I haven't done work on it. I gotta figure out what to do.
So you need an assistant.
They're required to take it, we're gonna take the citation and.
No, you need an assistant.
There's gotta be a pathway. They have to choose one. There's gotta be some.
The first day of school, when they're going to do the teachers, I would be like, I need a stipend, because sure, I know.
Is there a stipend?
Is there a stipend for that? Yeah.
That's confusing.
And on the back, I put
I'll do it.
No.
no.
If so, I'll do it.
Second page right here. Part of that list is moving to unit pathway concentration.
So I'll
So,
take it.
it could be a foreign language, fine arts, military, military-based CTE program, or campus learning, capstone course, or work-based learning.
Okay, that's where that's all right.
Yeah, that's what
When I started working there.
So then if they said we want to take a CTE course, so that'd be one additional.
No, they could, no, because this gives them the option.
Oh,
The kid does not have to take a CTE course, they have to take a 2-unit
That's what it was
elective
last
pathway.
year.
Now, within that could be
No,
a
that's
2-unit
not what it is
CTE
this
course, or it could be a 2-unit foreign language course.
I.
You know, there's gotta be some kind of sequential elective.
Spanish one, Spanish two.
Yes, that could be one.
No,
Now,
it's.
they could say they want every student to do some kind of structured CTE to take. Yes, yeah, yes.
Yeah, no, it's a budget, but it's usually like.
Yeah.
That's what we're worried
I can think of anything else that wants to take, since when she gets required to take public,
It's the way she's doing it.
So I need signatures for this budget too.
Honestly, the easiest thing is,
3, you can get the one that's virtual.
now let's just spitball, it would probably be like a foreign language.
Everybody will take it
tomorrow.
Take foreign language.
Spanish 1, Spanish 2, or something like that, or some foreign language. Now that could change, like we did in police right now, that could probably do something to that effect too, but we might not always have them.
Hey, Shelley, are they trying to log in as two?
It could be an ingenuity type. Yeah,
So if I had the mouse, I can.
that might be the
She's
easiest.
on there.
Oh, good, she's on.
It's usually 2 paths.
Yeah, so she should be. able to-
The biggest thing,
After the graduate.
the biggest thing I think that
I
might.
should probably need to be on camera, right?
Eventually,
Well, I know, but I didn't
to
like-
head on like,
Because she's
making
one of the
sure kids
comments?
are
Yeah.
full-time students is,
I'm gonna ask her where she can help.
and if, yeah,
That's.
those are 2 less credit classes that they have to take in high school.
Then you could have seniors taking less than 4 credits.
Technically can't do
No,
that.
have to do that if they want to participate.
Well, the SEG.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah, for the SEG credit.
And they gotta be a full-time student.
She just said that right when you walked in.
Maybe.
Now, those.
He may be running with
Go into like a-
It'll be you, Jamie, and Amy is on the, she's on the camera.
But,
Yeah,
that is a
he's-
little tricky if people.
I got enough.
Honest.
This year, can see us.
Hey,
I had to pick up a little one. You're fine, no, sir.
you had to pick up what?
I had to pick up a little one.
This one?
This one.
You know how it is. No, one of our presenters. She called me, she goes, are you coming to the board meeting tonight? Yeah, I think I'll go. I think I'll be there.
So we have Amy here, see her on the camera.
Oh, good.
That's really what
That's our word message.
Miss Art, do you mind running the meeting?
I can do that.
Okay, I'll have to along with you because she said she was virtual and on her cell phone.
So
she said
we have no
it would be
idea how it's gonna
really
actually come
clunky
through.
if she had to,
Okay.
her internet is not working, but her phone is.
Just the Wi-Fi.
Oh, wow, that was powerful. Jesus talking.
Okay, so we've got Amy on there. Is Jim jumping on at all?
No.
All right, well, let's see, it is 5:02. Let's call this meeting to order and let's stand for the pledge. And I'm gonna try to do it a little bit slower than Gabe.
Okay.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, Mr. Schneider, is there anything that we need to rearrange on the agenda?
Yes, I would like to put part of Ms. Colmar's presentation up in the public comments. We have a young group here, volunteers
Okay.
that would like to give a short presentation to
You know, I
us.
feel like Ms. Comar always get like special treatment around.
And the other thing is, number 7H should say third read, not second read.
No,
It does say. first.
Wait,
it's all, we determined that was how it is good.
right, the way it is was right.
Yes,
The way-
boss, you did good.
Okay, so I did it. Okay.
Okay, so it should say that. Okay, all right, and then we want to move just a portion of Ms. Comar's.
Yes, up to past public comments, right before financials.
Okay. So other than moving that up, do we have anything else we need to change on the agenda? Okay, I need a motion to set this agenda.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Yes.
All right, I went over the meeting minutes from our last meeting. I did not see anything out of line. Everything seemed right. Anybody else have any comments on it? Ms. Crawford?
I did see the very first sentence with President Jim Goss called the meeting to order. He wasn't there. He
Good catch,
I'm always looking for spelling. I didn't even notice that.
Good catch, Mrs. Crawford.
I wasn't either, so. Who ran it, Amy did?
Amy.
Yeah, okay, I'll fix
Yeah,
that.
that should be Amy, okay. That's funny. Amy's like, I distinctly remember calling that meeting to order.
Steven said that, Jim's on the line.
I know, it's funny. Not just me, not just me. Okay. Okay, all right, so we'll wait for Ms. Carolina to fix that and then we'll sign. Okay, anything else?
I didn't see anything else in there, no ma'am.
All right, do we have anybody for public comments? Everybody looks pretty familiar in here. No? Okay. All right, so then instead of going straight to financials, we will have this beautiful group of students and their leaders present for us today. All right, Ms. Martinez, are you the boss of this?
Actually, I am not.
You're not?
I'm just their supporter.
Oh.
Adrian and the group, they came together by themselves.
Wow. Okay, so then I'm gonna have to say Adriana's probably the boss. Because I know.
You're not far off.
All right.
So, this is our buddy crew, and, you know, Buddy walked into a great place to work, Mr. Littleton. But this is our buddy crew, and it's based off of the Buddy Bench. So we had, a company generously donate 3 Buddy Benches to our elementary school. And they will be placed there this summer, and the Buddy Bench is anybody who, feels like they're getting bullied, doesn't have a friend, doesn't feel like they're included in the games or whatever, they can go and sit on the bench. And we have a group of students that volunteered their time to wear these, now these are the wrong vest. We have better fitting vests, they're only here until the beginning of school. But they're volunteering their time so that if they see anybody sitting on a bench, they will go over there and check on them, make them feel welcome, ask them to play a game. And it's already, I've had several teachers tell me that they have seen these kids through the windows going and seeing a kid underneath the tree kind of by themselves. And they've hugged them and invited them to go, so it's a positive experience, and the teachers have already seen it. But this was based on some of the things that these kids saw that they didn't, excuse me, they didn't feel like there was enough to address the bullying issue. So they formed this crew, and I'm gonna turn it over, I'm gonna do some quick introductions. So originally, we have a few more that were here, but they were sick or out of town. And so I'm gonna let you know, and then I'm gonna turn it over to them. They've already presented to our teachers at a PLC meeting, and then we introduced them to the school so that the school knew what they were doing and who they were. So this is not, I have the old list. Briley was doing a welcome speech, Eileen was reading the poem, Avery was the why, before not now. The why why bullies exist or why they feel the need to bully. Adian was also a continuation of explaining why some people bully. Naraya was going to give thoughts regarding bullying, and Keegan was going to give us a conclusion. But this all happens today, they lost 2 of their people, so they kind of rearranged who's doing what. Oh, Eileen's back, so never mind, we're using one. All right, so I'm gonna turn it over to them. Now, as a counselor, Ms. Martinez has been kind of an advisor to them. So some of the ideas that they've come up, this is what we can do to help bullying, this is what we can do to prevent it, this is what we can do once it happens. And so she was kind of counseling them, and so was Ms. Chavez, on things to look for, and then of course the research. So I'm gonna turn it over to Deb.
Hi, my name is Riley, and we're going to be telling you all some ideas that we came up with to try and stop bullying. And I'm going to start us off with a poem. Hi, my name is Eileen. I'll be reading the poem. It's named Bullying is Like a Mirror. Bullying is like a mirror. The bully begins to bully, but the mirror recounts back. The ripple effect takes the whole line. To stop bullying, no matter what, and put it in the freezer box to bring back happiness in the beginning, because bullying is like a mirror. Now I will be reading a report who could not attend today. We are called the Buddy Crew. We are here to make a positive change, to make people feel welcome and included. Next we have Arya, who will tell you why people bully. Boys and girls can bully others. They can both be targets of bullying as well. Girls are bullied more often than boys. Some children who bully others are bullied themselves. Conflict or abuse in the home can make a child more likely to bully others. Children who do not care much about themselves or others also may become bullies. However, some people who bully have high self-esteem and are popular at school. They may use to impress their friends, bully to impress their friends. People who are bullied often are different from their peers in some way. They may look, speak, or act differently than other kids. But sometimes there's no clear reason why they're targeted in any case. and none are really I'm going to be saying the effects of bullying. Bullying may have many harmful effects. People who bully may become depressed or anxious. They may feel physically ill. Their school performances may suffer. In extreme cases, they may try to hurt themselves. People who bully others are affected as well. They are more likely to have mental health problems as adults. They may have trouble forming healthy relationships. They also are at a higher risk of being convicted of crime. And not keeping what and as well. Team, these are some changes we would like to make. The bully will have to watch a bullying video to get better. They will also have a group session with the bully and their target. And they will have to write journal entries. We will wear these vests on the playground as the buddy group because our student council are getting buddy benches and we are going to try to make them feel welcome and let them know they have a buddy. Okay. And we also made this poster that says a bunch of positive things on it.
Great job, guys. So I'm gonna have to ask, whose idea was this?
And then
Oh, wow. So how did you guys go about, I see you have papers, how did you go about the research? Did you look it up online or did you talk to people who were experienced in this? How did you get your information?
So first we thought, because I was getting bullied every day, and I got tired of it. I was ready. So then I talked to Ms. Martinez almost every day about, because I wanted to know the rules so bad. And I talked to Ms. Martinez and she told us, what if you started like trying to change the rules or add some rules. So then I got these six because they were still here. And we formed this buddy group. And we did our research and it took us about 5 tries. As Ms. Comer said, some of them weren't appropriate for school.
So, we weren't appropriate.
Good, yeah.
She's pretty knowledgeable.
And we finally nailed it to come, we did it in front of the teachers, we did it in front of school, and now we're here.
Well, I just want to say, I think this was wonderful. Ariana, I do have to say, this is the quietest you have ever been in my presence in your whole life. Okay, I actually needed you to have a microphone today. I didn't know you could do that. Proud of you. But you guys did a wonderful job. I'm so proud of you for seeing a problem and instead of just complaining about it, about forming your own little committee and trying to make a positive change. I applaud your efforts. I think this is just a great thing. You couldn't ask for better with Ms. Martinez. She's got your back all the way.
They did everything.
I know, but you're there to support them. They need a grown-up to support them. And they need Ms. Comer to, keep everything illegal.
Legal.
Yeah.
Going off on the illegal stuff.
So Ms. Comer said that these are your actual vests. You have vests that fit you better, but these are what you're gonna wear every day so that you are identified as somebody who is welcoming and an instant friend. Is that correct? Wow, that's amazing. I am so proud of y'all. Yes, Mariah, you have something to add?
Yeah, we also got some second graders to help with the middle ones.
Oh, nice. Okay, so how many of you are in 5th grade right now? None of you, you're all 4th? Okay, all right, way to lead. Way to be leaders,
And the
guys.
best thing to do with the bully is call them out in front of everybody, because then they won't do it, they don't want to be called out either. So.
And I'm glad that in your research that it showed that, sometimes kids live in homes that they don't get love and they don't get treated right, and that's how they treat others.
They have self-esteem.
Children learn what they live, so I really applaud you guys for being such a positive example, especially of, the town motto, small town, big heart. You guys have all shown a big heart today in what you're doing, and I think we should just give them another hand. job.
So one thing I want to say is they did have several ideas and there were a couple that we couldn't do.
Couldn't punch anybody.
We couldn't have a bully wear a certain uniform. We can't do that.
Or build, or put a jail cell in one of the classrooms.
We couldn't put them on the stage and call them out, so there were things that. So then when we talked about the positive things they could do to make a change, again, they did the research and came up with the ideas, and the three that they came up with that we are going to incorporate is one, that they do have to watch some kind of anti-bullying or the effects of bullying. And they're looking through the videos with the help of Ms. Chavez and Ms. Martinez to see what would be an appropriate video for somebody who's been accused of bullying or found to be a bully. And they would have to watch a video. And then something else is have a group session like he mentioned and have the bully and the victim or victims and see if we can come to concise, some kind of consensus where that doesn't happen, we're not doing that. And then the third idea that they came up with that I really liked was journal entries. Write down what it is, what feelings you have against this person, why are you doing the things that you are doing. So they did come up with three pretty important reasons that we can use to hopefully change that atmosphere.
Well, good job, guys, I'm proud of y'all. Thank you for having us.
Yes, absolutely, anytime.
Thank you for coming in.
Yeah, thank you very much. And then Ms. Martinez will stay with them until they have, thank you.
All right. That was wonderful. Okay, Ms. Kumar, you have to wait for the rest of your.
Yeah, so sit down.
You get a lot of things. Okay, all right, let's go on to financials, starting with budget adjustments. Ms. Nicole.
Yes, ma'am, so I don't have any budget adjustment requests.
I thought I got a blank check, I was like,
Well, I love to because usually something comes up, like I was waiting for my taxes to come through and they haven't come through yet, so that's why I don't have anything. But I do at the bottom, there's approval for final fiscal year 25 award letters. Those are gonna start coming in. Then the projected fiscal year award letters from Fed. That are not on this budget, and then approval for maintenance or transfer bars to eliminate negative balances. And then I didn't know if this was something I was able to do, but I put it in there anyways, a blanket approval for ad valorem oil and gas tax, revenue taxes that we receive in excess of the budget. So like I said, they usually come like the 15th or the 16th of the month. And so I don't have them, but if I have to wait till June, then I can wait till June. I need to get them in.
So you don't know if we can do this or not?
Well, I think we can, because we did it for the dividends, like we did like a blanket approval on them.
If we go ahead and approve it,
And it's found that we can't do it,
What do we do?
you'll see it again.
okay, all right, well,
Because they won't let her finish submitting it if it's not.
okay, well, let's go ahead and let's give it a try. I need a motion to approve the budget adjustments, future and current.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Yes.
So on the status of the SB9 form, like I said, that we don't have any, the revenue is still the same, the only thing changed on this sheet was just the year-to-date expenses and encumbrances. It's the same revenue.
Anybody see anything on the bills list?
Then I have the fund balances sheet attached, if you have questions. And then, I have the cash sweep deposit for May, and so we received $506,899.05 on that cash sweep account. And it's divided into those different accounts, those different.
Do you have any questions, Ms. Crawford?
I do not, no ma'am.
And then you have the, bank statements attached. That's it, that's pretty much it. If you have any questions on any of this stuff.
Mr. Chalmers, do you have any questions?
No, ma'am.
Okay, you have a motion to approve that bill list?
Oh, no, this wasn't the bill list.
Oh, it
No.
wasn't?
No, it was just the financial reports.
Okay. I got all mixed up. I dropped my whole stinking packet on the floor this morning. It is. It's just ridiculous. Okay.
I'm sorry, that's the, here we go, just the first one. And so now you're in the
All right, I did not see anything when I looked through the bills list. Anyone else?
I did not, no, ma'am.
I need a motion to approve.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Nicole, are you gonna do the food service? or-
Yes,
Okay.
so we did an invitation, to bid for the food service. And we only did receive one bid, and so, we are recommending that bid go to Benny Keith Company. They're.
Is this new?
No, we have to do, so last year, we go through this every year, but we're just presenting it to the board because we got audited on certain things that we didn't completely finish. We just awarded it and that was it.
Okay.
Like,
That
we
made
didn't.
it sound familiar. to me.
Yeah, it didn't, no, this is their second year with them, so
Okay.
last year we went for food service bid and we didn't get no bids. And so we just had to find
So
somebody.
Benny Keith and US Food, and so what, we have any bids, so we just have to patch it together and solicit them to sell us stuff. We don't have an actual agreement.
And so I just need an approval, board approval to award that food service to Benny Keith Company as they are the only bidder.
Any questions or concerns about that one?
No, not really. I do remember though that last year it was an issue.
Yeah.
That
Yes.
Benny Keith, yes. Yes, ma'am.
I don't remember that name at all, but that's not surprising.
Yeah, we didn't have a bid last year for any of the services.
I'll make a motion.
Yes, please.
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
And so, Amy, we can give you a copy of the bidder or the trainer. I just couldn't solicit them until we did our grading on it. But we had, for the RFP for the athletic trainer, we had two of them. One was roving athletic trainer. And so they are out of California. And then we had another one that was Advantage Health, which is, who we're using now. So we did get two bids on those.
Is this something we have to do every year?
Yeah, well, after this one, it's gonna be renewed for 3 years.
Okay.
This RP, the food service was yearly, this athletic trainer is 1 year and then additional 2 years if we see that. If we're not satisfied with the work doing, yeah, we can have you.
If someone puts a bid in other than me, so it could be a sole source, if no one else puts a bid in, it could just be a sole bidder.
Right.
Otherwise, like this year, there were two, the existing one we have and then one from California.
Okay.
So Nicole and I scored it on the rubric. and-
Yeah, so we did do the rubric, and so we are suggesting, awarding the contract to Advantage. So one of the bigger things here on our RFP, was we preferred a New Mexico resident bidder. Because there's a lot of state statutes and CEs that they have to do and certification, and it all has to be New Mexico based. And so we added an additional 5% because they have a preference over other bidders as well. And so that was one of the things that was granted to Advantage, but on the rubric, we had,
So the guy we have right now, he's based out of Lubbock, is that correct?
Hobbs.
Oh, Hobbs.
Yes, he's at Fox.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
The trainer worked in Lubbock.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I was thinking.
Yes, the
Okay.
trainer worked at Lubbock, Texas Tech.
Are we happy with the response and everything
Yes,
on day to day?
very much so. They're actually getting better out through the year.
Yeah.
They've got better and better. Robert is the guy here locally. and
Robert, yes.
He's already built a lot of trust with the kids and he does a great job.
Okay.
And,
So-
it's okay.
Go ahead.
So that's, according to your rubric and your scoring, I can't really hear that great, but are you going with the person that we currently have?
Yes.
Is that your
ma'am.
recommendation? Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
they scored higher according to all the, weight that we have here.
Yeah, we looked at everything from experience to knowledge. So they weren't New Mexico certified, our current one is. But the other one said, well, we'll get all of it, but they don't have it, so you have to score the local ones. The price was cheaper with the California one,
Okay,
but it's kind of not really as important as the service that we're already getting
Right.
at this point.
yeah, and you're very happy with the service that you're getting right now.
And it's
Okay.
local here,
Gotcha.
and then road.
Okay. All right. So you need this to be approved, correct? All right, we need a motion to approve our current athletic trainer.
AJ Bench,
Yes.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and now the budget.
And Kahuna.
A big.
And Jim was here for the budget meeting, so.
Let's get that.
So he looked at it, and if you look at it, let me just give you a brief, like an overview of what the finding was. What it was is, we've always operated within our SEG, that's what the state gives us per student per unit. Well, this year, we went 1.1 million out of that over our SEG, which most school districts have to stay within their SEG, there's no choice, because they don't ever have any other revenue stream. Well, we have ad valorem.
Right.
The ad valorem has built up to, correct me on any of these numbers, Nicole, I'm just rounding, 15 million. So we went about 1 million over our SEG. At that rate, we have 15 years that we could go over our SEG by $1 million if we didn't add another dollar to the ad valorem account.
Wow.
Say if ad valorem just ended tomorrow, we have 15 years worth of funds to go over our SEG with staff.
Wow.
So all of the staff that we added, that's where it all, why it's over.
Okay.
Because we've added programs, we've added staff like crazy, reading, math, from K-12, the whole system. We've kind of revamped our whole system. It's expensive to do that. But we looked at it and we have 15 years of reserves under the current, if we don't lose anyone through attrition. So if we lose them through attrition, meaning if someone quits and we decide not to replace them, then we'll just save money there.
Yeah.
So we could still cut it back and trim it, but if we went over our SEG, which is very like panic, we were kind of freaking out too, because we've never gone above and beyond the SEG until this year.
So, but we're good for the next
We're
15
good,
years.
we're good if we didn't get another dollar in
Yeah,
that.
Well, and another reason why we're having to dig into that ad valorem is because of our cash balance. So last year, we carried over about $5 million of cash balance, and that's one of the things that the state is looking at to start sweeping, and so we had to draw down our cash balance.
Right.
And so we started with 5 million, now we're down to 1.7. So that's about how much we need, that they're allowing us to carry over, even if they said about 30% of your.
And so we had to take that under about 3.3 and put it into different parts of the budget where it doesn't show up as cash balance.
Right.
Kind of like cat and
So we
mouse.
just extended it.
Yeah, we extended.
So we're not in danger of them sweeping that.
No, because we swept it down to the acceptable norm.
Good deal.
And that's why it got really tight. Nicole lost a lot of sleep, probably a lot of hair. She was trying to figure it out. She was trying to figure it out and put this one and that one. She was concerned for a while.
So this year, this school year, we were awarded $8.7 million in SCG. For the next school year, we'll have 9.6.
Okay.
So I think our membership was up by 60, was it 60, 65 kids? And so that's the reason why. And then, of course, they have all the legislative pieces that increase, like you're at risk, have carried more weight and things like that, that was able to increase the SCG. So we're still doing good. So on the sheet here, you can see basically everything is still the same of what we're charging out to operational, which is the 11,000 plan. But once you start going into, we just put numbers on the pages. So when you go down to 11,000, 2,500, is the fourth page. So you'll see that from central office salaries and custodial salaries, maintenance salaries, student transportation, and then cafeteria and summer, all of those don't have anything in the yellow. There's no numbers there. So all that And now that's the $1.1 million that Mr. Snyder was talking about, that we're gonna be using the ad valorem and oil and gas taxes, the local revenue tax is what I call it, it's local revenue tax. So that's what we did, we just moved those things over because majority of the SEG funds have to be, they want you to at least use 82% of it based on salaries. Another thing that was a consideration was, okay, if I try to get everybody in here, what can I cut out? You know, that's one of the questions that Mr. Goss asked. Okay, what do we need to cut out to get everybody into SEG? And the only thing I can think of is benefits, going back to the 80-20 or 60-40, how it was. And we don't wanna do that. No, so insurance did increase by 9.95%, dental increased by 4%. And so those are the factors that we had to include in there. So you have your basic, your teachers and your aides and principals and the secretaries all coming out of SCG, and then everyone else is really coming out of the local revenue tax.
And so if tomorrow or the next state legislature, they say that ad valorem's going back like it was, or we don't keep it all, we only keep 25% of it, then we would last 15 years at current spending. See what I'm saying? If there's no student loss. So if we lose a lot of kids, we're gonna have to, yeah, if we lost a lot of kids, you'd have to reduce that anyway.
Well, we do have to remember that we are switching some of that money into investment money, because we can with local revenue, so we'll be getting interest on that as well.
So we're okay.
So we'll be okay. I don't know that we'll be able to do like huge raises or nothing next year.
But we're
We'll
hoping
just
to
stay with it, yeah, we'll stay steady with, and competitive with everybody else, I don't think they're close to us. So that is the 11,000 fund, and then we go to the 12,000, so just a brief, I know Randy, this is your first year, looking at a budget. And so if you look at the left, the gray shaded column, these are all the expenses that we are expected to use. And so you have to do all your revenues minus your expenses, and then it turns into your carryover on the right side, on the yellow side, the very top one. So like right now I'm looking at the 12,000 fund that says teachers. And so we have we're expected 171,732, and then we're expected to expend 62,450. So that means the revenue minus expenses is the 109,282, and so that's what we carry over, and then that's what I use.
And that's all of the rent for the
Yeah,
teachers.
Yeah, this is how we calculate everything for the funds. So yeah, the gray shaded is the expenses for this year, and the yellow and the right is projected budget. That's what you're approving today, is the yellow side.
Okay.
And so teachers is expected to have 214,282. Transportation, that is a letter by PED, and so that one is 120,400, and that is based on your membership. I think it's the average of your 40th, 80th, and 120th days. The food service is expected, and so for the revenue, they tell you whatever you received in the previous year, use for the next year, unless you have a huge reduction of membership and adjust it that way. Food service is 126,156. The 21,100 fund, the Healthy Universal Food Service, is 131,635. So this is the new fund that the state is reimbursing us on, not USDA. Athletics is 25,300. The private direct grant, this one, we don't get any money from it, it's just whatever's left is what we're gonna use, and that's it, there's no more coming after that.
Okay.
The industrial revenue bond is 37,639, this one's the payment in lieu of taxes that we receive as well, and this one doesn't have any restrictions, so I'm just kind of letting it build up. That way, when we run out of the private direct grants, because that's what we use for the scholarships, to pay tuition for the teachers.
Oh, okay.
And so I'm just kind of letting that one build up so we can use industrial revenue
We run out of money.
to start using that one.
Okay.
Then you have the bond building, which is 22,574,969, and this one, we're not expecting any other revenue, unless we do, the rest of the debt service stuff, like how we did last year. I think there's like 300,000 left in it. So I think we're gonna have that conversation, I think like October, November, when we need to do that. We'll talk with our bond advisors when we need to go to that. The capital outlay, that's just awarded by the state, and so we depleted that account, so for next year, we won't have any more money on that one. SB 9 will have 108,163. And so if you look at the taxes, what they're projected, these numbers are not from me, these are from PED. And so if you look at that, where it says ad valorem taxes, on the left side, they're projected 3.2 million, and then for this coming school year, they're only projecting us for about 2.3 million. And then same thing with the oil and gas taxes, it's a little bit less than what we got this year.
So if you look at that total that we went over, 2.2 is if it's projected, and if it comes in, that's only half of what for 1 year's revenue.
Are we concerned about this?
Over 15 years of reserves, plus we're spending half.
Well, we don't use mill levy money for salaries.
Right.
Yeah,
It's all just for maintenance and capital projects. So that has nothing to do with our ad valorem.
on that portion.
Yeah. The state match, that one is $82,639. Again, this one is awarded from the state to us, so we just, whatever they tell us we get, so we get. Ed Tech notes, we have $33 million, 8,988.
That's crazy.
Debt service, we have left the 379,086, so we haven't really collected anything the past few months. And so I think after this fiscal year, like I said, we'll have that conversation with our bond advisor, see if we can get that money, and that money will go into our bond building. We have to go through the whole paperwork with the resolution and all that good stuff done for it. Then we have the EdTech debt service, and that's $16,145,000. And then we go into the special revenue, and you see our Title I application, we were awarded $220,537. And we are not considered a Title I school, but we are still eligible to get the funding for it because of our direct certification.
And Mr. Little was more than willing to do what it takes. When he started this year at high school, he has to do these parent meetings, and we didn't have it set up right, and he just walked into it and didn't know.
Well, that's not, Oscar's not on it now, right? Next year?
Nobody is. We're not a Title I school.
We're not designated, but if you want to
But we can
continue
still get
receiving the money, you can do the application.
Yeah, we can still do the application and get the funds.
So just so you heard, all that money's mine.
220,000,
Right, with
good
you.
chunk of money. So for our DFB, we just got the application open on Thursday, so next month, it'll be on next month's agenda, and I'll have the RC come in, and they'll explain, the application and the amount.
Like, you know, how they do that.
The next page is Title II, we did get awarded $28,567. And we use that application money for mentor stipends. And then whatever is left of it goes to the RSC, because they do pay a lot of our professional development stuff that we do. I don't have anything for Medicaid or pre-K, that's where it's in red. And then we're done with the ARP money, which I'm so excited for. It was pretty crazy, 5 years of that reporting. We were awarded for the SRSA grant, which is like the REAP grant. I just submitted the application, but the award was for $66,883. That's what the carryover. And so I just submitted that application as well. And then the New Mexico DOT grant, we finished that one this year, so nothing will roll over. Same with the COVID grant, we finished that this year, no rollover. And then the activities fund, this is all the, this 23,000 fund, which is all the fundraising and stuff, and so we're still, we'll start the year with 376,636 in the budget. And that's distributed until like 500 out of.
Yes.
That you
Everybody
understand.
wants to fundraise.
Yeah.
All right, any questions, guys? Anything else to add, Ms. Nicole?
I don't have anything else to add other than, just to be aware of the salaries, assurances we have. The minimum salary is for level 1 is 55,000, for level 2, 65,000, level 3, 75,000. Educational assistant minimum salary is 25,000, and then, we have a minimum salary as well for all the principals, which we are well over on all of those things.
Did that change from the salary schedule we had last time?
No,
Okay,
no, I just have to, because I have to have like signatures and, you know, I have to make sure I'm going to problems.
gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, so.
Do you need approval for?
I do need approval and then I also need a signature as well.
I need a motion for the 2025-2026 school year budget.
Make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Yes, ma'am.
And then Amy, whenever you can, if you could just come in and sign the sheet for me. 'Cause
That
I
sounds
just
great.
have to-
Yes,
I
ma'am.
just
I'll see you
have to
tomorrow.
submit it. It's due tomorrow, so it's already in the system. I just have to hit submit.
Okay. I'll see you before lunch for sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sign first.
All right, moving on to item number 6, old business ongoing. Ooh, rock, paper, scissors, who wants to go first? Updates on football, South concession, football field improvements, baseball concession.
They're taking a nap.
I know.
We've been doing this all day.
Not the nap.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nicole.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes.
Is it a great idea? Catch me while I can.
Almost there, yeah, because, oh, my God, you. 3 days later.
Yeah.
Where are you? Sorry, I was really. I have hair on me. Jen, Amy, Renee. Jen. There, she's there now.
Oh, there we go. Have to go left and right. No.
Oh, I'm gonna tell Jen he has to.
Yeah. People willing.
We need to wait for Ronnie on that.
No, you can start with
Okay. One thing we wanted to do, kind of do before I give you a project update, was kind of discuss some of the items we're going over, dealing with CID. That's your state approval, board. So it's been about the last, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, they've kind of been throwing new regulations at us. So one of the items is essentially, if we do, it's a building that has a different address, it's required to be a different project. Instead of us just combining it in one project, now they're starting to split it. So we had the issue with oil and gas. We added it through a CCR, but since it's a different building, they pretty much said it has to be a different permit. So we had to separate the project, we rushed through it out. We did get back approval from PSA and CID from our end, architect standpoint, with stamp signed drawings saying the state reviewed it.
John has submitted it for permit, we're just waiting on a response on that. We did get the bus barn permit, so we dealt with the floodplain issues that's been talked about a few times that.
Oh, well, I apologize. You can
You can take her.
Yes, please, thank you, Nicole. That's okay. Sit down, wait your turn.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
I'm gonna get that one video out already. So we got the bus barn. One of the issues I believe I should have talked about was that the state was supposed to be communicating with the county and floodplain stuff, they weren't communicating.
Is this the whole FEMA issue?
FEMA issue and stuff, so they weren't actually, the state was supposed to submit it to the county and get their signatures, they were just signing off. So we've been working with Lee County, trying to get all the paperwork in, so we did get the bus barn, we have the junior high, all that's taken care of from the county standpoint. One issue that we kind of backed off on was the athletics facilities. Due to the /race storm and the heavy amount of rain that you got in that short time period. And the water did do what we expected for the most part, but it was the amount of sediment that was washed on. That wasn't expected, it didn't happen at the last rainstorm. So Park Hill's doing we brought in our stormwater team, so we're doing the next advanced level of study to look at the topography and really try to dive in if there's anything else we can possibly do to help reduce the risk as much as possible for sediment coming on there. We can't stop it all, but hopefully we can reduce it.
That was the most rain I've seen here, like, ever.
Yeah, and the amount of sediment and the washout, and you guys should have all received in your board packet the kind of our initial report and our findings. It was in the email, those attachments with the.
Oh, I do remember seeing it.
Oh, it's in the email, okay.
It was an email with the presentation, right?
Yes,
Oh, okay.
yeah, so there's an initial report where the stormwater team kind of went over what their findings were. A lot of the issues deal with draw and how the water is
Before it
distributed.
gets to us.
Before it gets to you, right across Utah, so with all the trees, the brush, it kind of stops it, cools it, and splits it in different directions versus continuing down the tracks. And that's why your north end was more flooded with sediment. The washout was new from the east side. You guys never had that before, we've never seen it, so we're trying to figure out if the alleyways improvements are gonna be enough to slow it down or not, or help, and what is, but it was doing what we expected, just a lot more.
Do we need a retention pond or something?
We're looking at that, the stormwater team is going to do their full analysis, they're gonna also give the city of Jow and Lee County recommendations on what we see from our standpoint, what they should do. Their ultimate goal would be to do an actual floodway all the way through Jow to the south side. I mean, that's a 30-year endeavor.
Oh,
To be able to do all those utilities and reroute. So that's what, on top of that, that's what we're working on. That's kind of the delay from our standpoint, making sure we work out what we need for Lee County. CID for the elementary, CID since the corridor connection between the new addition and the old building, most of it was in the original project, but the structural steel wasn't fully designed because of that catwalk and what we need to do now. CID came back and said, well, if this structure wasn't fully developed in your first drawings, you need to resubmit for permit. So John's already sent all that in for, they call it an amendment to the contract. We're just waiting on the response from that. To move forward, like the restrooms we were gonna do on the north end of the gym, I can't touch. It's a different building, we'll have to wait till the next project, like the team room or the CTE project, and hopefully we can do that now. Those future projects, we're gonna keep them under the same project number from your guys' standpoint and our standpoint, but I'll be submitting those to the state as separate projects with different addresses. For permitting. Was that kind of like the background, anything else?
You have any good news?
We got the bus barn turned in, we got the Logan gas hall turned in. Been working with Dusty, Dusty's trying to get all the addresses for all the new buildings, they're trying to get addresses for all buildings, so we'll be working through that. We got most of them, I think we're just missing athletics and the storage barn and the oil and gas.
Are we having to make new addresses?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, because
that's fun.
some of the buildings that had existing addresses were not correct addresses. It was just like way back in the day, somebody was like, 200 East Panther sounds good. And then come to find out, that's not a real address. So it was just some arbitrary number that happened to be in the 200 block.
Yeah.
But wasn't a correct address.
Sounded cool.
Yeah.
Gotta check it, I guess.
So we're gonna be adding numbers and street names to all your buildings and changing some of the addresses. I believe the pool is gonna get changed, their address, they changed the address.
Okay.
Bus barn did stay the same, but the oil and gas required a separate address. Most of your buildings.
What's that gonna look like for the post office?
15
different boxes.
for 50.
Good gravy.
Yeah. Okay, so project updates, kind of looking at your schedule. One thing to note is the athletics and indoor schedules, depending on the FEMA study, of whether or not we can do the additions to the concession stand, whether or not that raises the floodplain too much, that might add, what was it overall, 200 and some days to the schedule? 200 scheduled to do all that work. Now involved in that, one of the CCRs tonight, we did split that into two so they can move forward with partial work that doesn't affect the FEMA stuff, but we can't, it's not over efficiency yet. The baseball, per the contract, it's actually due come in June. I was talking to John with Dusty in our meeting today. We need to do kind of like a change order for days of work because we had delays due to old oil pipes underground that we had to wait to be tested and tapped and see if it was actually good. So their schedule's about two more months. I think we kind of figured out the 3 months. So they're still right on schedule.
Oil and gas says August 1st, that doesn't mean that that's when we get the building handed to us, does it?
No, that's a contract that's your contract. What we did, we did expedite it. We were shooting for June due to CID's issues and them requiring us to get the permit in, so it's gonna be, we're hoping like, what, a month delay?
It's a small job, it won't take long, we just gotta get the state to give us the green light.
So pretty much,
We have,
Say we're already there with it, we just waiting for the permit.
we have the stamp going, we just don't have a permit. And the inspector slapped me on the hands pretty good, said, do not do any more work until you get the permit. Which, he's catching flack from Santa Fe, so we don't wanna create any problems with inspectors.
Right.
But is 2027 correct?
that's,
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at.
I thought it was gonna be done a lot, I mean, because we're starting our oil and gas
Are we-
class, so we'll be.
that's
CTE.
That's CTE.
Yeah, that's.
Oh, that's the new
That's the next project we're working on.
Oh,
Okay, that's, yeah, I was thinking the same.
Okay.
You need to look at
I was like,
oil
wait,
and
let's
gas.
talk about that.
This is
I hope it don't take us that long.
You are correct, we have plenty.
Okay.
You get it.
Never mind, we're good.
Yeah, he was talking about this one right here.
Yeah.
So we were shooting for 1st of August, make sure you're in there for the school year. We expedited it. One of the change orders you'll see later is because it's a change order for expedited speed and all that stuff, so they decreased the price of project. To it. Bus barn, we got the permit, so that should get back on schedule. They already got a building pad down, so they can start moving along. Storage building, we really haven't started yet. We have to go through the addressing.
And it has to have its own address too?
Yes. Every building has to have an address. Right now,
Every water meter has to have that.
yes.
There's 3 water meters just on the main campus. So each one has to have its own address. If you're gonna mail something to a water meter, you gotta have the right address. I still don't, they've explained it 100 times and I still think, never.
I'll just send it.
Keep it to myself.
Well,
Yeah.
for emergency services, any building needs to get a fire in there, everything's 200.
And they're attaching it to water meters.
Yeah, I get it, yeah.
I get that, but I don't get the water meter thing.
Okay.
Now down to the indoor, due to the FEMA studies, it's more about the concession stand additions that's slowing us down. The actual project itself, we had an issue where they didn't want us to stay what they require is a rebar overlap, wasn't what our structural engineer designed, and there's some other things, but they did get the approval today.
Okay.
So you'll start seeing the grade beam going in. Kind of delay I put on Lasco was the CCR for the concession stand additions changed one of the grade beams, kind of went in there to hold your brick and your walls up in your precast floor. It kind of changed where it would be, so I want to work with John and I'm gonna split it and I'm gonna rework the concession stand additions to go around it so they don't have to stop work. And they can keep moving. Currently designing the actual seaside building. We had a meeting at the last OAC, we sat down with Nathan. Walked through the building, he kind of did their tweaks that they wanted to do to the building, so we'll be getting them on updated plan and exterior design.
Yes.
And then team room, locker room ag, that's kind of went into the CTE project, so they're all combined. But that one will require a floodplain study to make sure we can do it because it's in the floodplain. So we also looked at, RJ sent a updated kind of pricing and schedule, pricing of each of the projects and where we're at. So our, yep.
It's really good design.
Double in design.
Yeah, so combining the team rooms and the automotive went from 7,000 square feet, now it's pushing over 12,000 square feet. Of addition, so your price went, we're looking at close to $1,000 a square foot, what it's been averaging 900, so. It went from, your $6 million, $7 million project up to $11, $12 million project. Coming in, team room, I believe that's pretty much the same. And then the auditorium that's kind of on hold right now. It's in the background until we finish up some of these other projects. Here's some pictures of my last visit. Baseball, it's painted inside now, so now it shows white, not gray. They have the ductwork ran, and they're currently running the electrical conduits. Did you want to speak about this, and I'll give you pictures to look at?
Sure. I guess I won't make you speak more. Baseball, like I said, we're painted, we've got the ductwork in, we've got some above ceiling electrical that's being tied in. I'll have to call for inspections and then we'll put the hard ceiling in. That building's gonna go relatively quick. We're having the finished R panel for the roof, meet here next week now. Hopefully Thursday, this week. Pending weather, can't put it on when the wind's blowing, but
Right.
that'll be a short job. That job will wrap up fast, relatively fast at the parking lot. We talked about that today, the city's reworking that road out there and we're kind of pending to see what they do. We don't want to put the parking lot in and then they raise the street and it floods your parking lot, and floods your building. So we kind of need to work hand in hand with the city to see what they're gonna do on the road. We don't want y'all to spend the money, and I'm sure you don't want to spend the money, and then they come in there and raise that road up and create another flood.
Right.
After the last rain, I went and assessed it. It held up good. What Parkville designed worked great. All water did cross the road west of the baseball, and it went into that field in behind or wherever they're dumping trees and stuff back in there. So it did cross the road, but what Parkville's got designed worked. It stayed. We need to make it stay that way, so we're kind of at the city's mercy to see what they're doing with the road.
Sure.
So that'll kind of wrap up baseball. We kind of covered base on the indoor. We've had some delays. We put the rebar reinforcement in, like the engineer drew. The state called us out and said, no, it's not according to code. They're international code. Our engineer overrode it. We haven't looked it up, found it, and we got approval on it today. They shut us down for about a week. We have about 170-yard pour scheduled Thursday. So we are going forward. We're going to start the bonding, and the work will rest as they go by. canopy on the front, if we can get that approved, we need to really concentrate on that, because once they put that track in, it's gonna be very difficult to build that canopy. Very difficult. So we discussed that in our meeting today, but the track, as you can see, it looks like a bomb went off. I can't speak much for that, that's all through AK Sales. We are working hand in hand, our work meshes with theirs, so I can't really answer you a whole lot on the track, other than it's a mess.
Yeah.
Elementary's coming along, we've had a few hiccups with some stuff, but
That's life.
that's everything on every job.
The steel finally came in though,
The steel came in, but I can't touch it till we get that added back into the stamp drawing. I called for an inspection before the floor back, he said, I'm not even gonna look at it, because it's not on your red stamp plans.
So that's one of the things with the state inspectors that have been coming down. They've never required it, now they want them to have the state CO stamp drawings that they get from the state on site, and they have to sign on that sheet. And we've never done that in the 10 years we've been here. So that's kind of new, and that's kind of been kicking in, that we get this, they want to upgrade. We think they just want to cut, because you're at $1 million to the project, their fee gets higher. And it makes you, that's kind of what it's worth.
That's kind of basically where it's, all the changes that you're putting, and a lot of them are small and insignificant, or aren't shown on the drawing. The state's figured out we're doing more work than what's on the drawing, and they want their piece back. That's what it boils down to, basically. Because when I called for that inspection where we could put that floor back in, he said, show me on the plan where it's at. Well, I showed him what Derek had drawn, and he said, show me on the state approved plan. Well, it's not on there because it was an attachment. So they're making us compile and put all that back on the plan. Every change you make is gonna be back to the stamp plan. And that, I've been doing this for 40-something years, and they have never required me to have, that blueprint for that indoor is that thick, and I've got to lug it over there and put it on the job site when he's here to look at it.
The government really likes paperwork.
Absolutely. So it's created some speed bumps for us, and some hiccups, but we're hurtling over them. It's just, it's slowed us down on some of the stuff. And, you
Well, it
know,
sounds like you guys are doing everything you can, and your hands are being tied by the state.
and our state inspector is very lenient. He's really trying. He told me to go ahead and pour. The chief bureau found out, called and said, no, you're not. Until we got, and I sent it to him this morning. I said, on your plan, you reviewed it. Here's the information you need. Our engineer put that in there. Engineer overrides the state. He didn't go back to John and said, pour it, you got our books. It's much risky. It's just, like I said, they wanna know how much more you're adding because they want their 2 cents of it. Moving on, so we're moving, we've got window frames in, we've got the steel, I just can't put it up. It's so frustrating. So, you can see the alleys from the flood made a mess. And Brian's alley was a mess. So with the sewer line coming in, we just got approval, we're gonna run that sewer line all the way up to a new sewer line. Once we put those brick pavers down, it's got some trench drains in there. We're replacing that sewer line all the way down the alley except for 200 feet. That would be ridiculous not to put new sewer under all that brick paving that we're putting down. If it collapsed, we'll be tearing out that back alley. So that, we've got that taken care of today.
Good.
Philip Ramirez said they would jump on it immediately, so we've got the ball rolling back on that one.
I went ahead and pulled that out of contingency since it was already approved, because it wasn't on the agenda and there's no time to wait for another month for that. Just so you know. I may have got you to approve it and save the contingency, but there was no, we've got to get it, the sewer line done before the next month.
Can't wait that long.
Can't wait that long, so, yeah.
Omar, I haven't heard you getting blamed for anything yet today.
Well, you weren't here earlier.
Omar.
That's why I let him relieve, said I'll speak for you, because he.
Fat little buddy group.
He needs the buddy group. He needs the buddy group.
We'll call them in if they're advanced.
I don't know if it was coincidental with Dusty doing the addresses and the permitting, but it hit at the same time, because even the inspector's like, you're on an address, okay, something's going on, and it really needs to be done, it does. Because if you have a fire or a kid hurt, and you call out EMS, y'all know where it's at, but somebody made a good point, what if all your EMS are tied up out here, and you gotta call for EMS or somebody? They don't know where to go.
Well, the high school, there's like 5.
Yeah. So,
Football field.
Gee, which high
We
school?
only have one.
Yeah.
well, and what brought it on too is oil and gas and bus barn were permitted in the same thing. We knew bus barn was on a delay for the FEMA. John told me to pull the trailer on the bus barn, so we get it ready, and I call for inspections. I don't permit. So he's like, I'm not even gonna look at it. And then he's like, this thing needs its own permit. So that's how it kind of all got started. And but we're getting it correct. It's just gonna take a few hiccups to get it.
Yeah. In the end, it's getting done, so. Okay.
So just kind of moving forward from now, when we do change orders, we're gonna have to be careful about what ones we do versus we're gonna have to do a new project. Athletics, the retaining wall on the south lot is all built. They were gonna pour, concrete inside. We did actually pretty much stop them today, due to the FEMA study. We might wanna cut, depending on what my team suggests, the gate that's on the east side, we might wanna make it bigger, to allow more drainage, just let the water shoot off, and add an opening to the west side to do the same thing, so it'll catch those, concrete culverts that we have that are gonna push all the water down Chester Street. So they're kind of holding off on doing their pour to make sure, because it'd be really painful to try to cut through solid concrete and create an opening. But the wall is up.
Okay.
They can start working on the sewer line and other grading items throughout the site. That's fine. It's building pad, but we got the green light now, so. Junior high,
Junior high is going well. I had to have my welding crew recertified today, then their certification lab, so we took this day to get it done, which is a good day, because with the wind, it's a little bit hairy putting back and stuff on this one. So it's perfect day for me.
I wonder where those stairs lead to. What's that stair?
To the second. Yeah, the second.
I'm gonna give him a hard time. with that the rest of his life.
We
Where
should
those
have,
stairs lead?
we should have all the material coming in this week, and we'll start framing the junior high as soon as we get the material. So we did get, as y'all well know, the junior high gym got some water in it, and we've addressed that issue, so.
Did y'all get that quote for that?
We actually got, for the floor,
Are those works going?
I told them about it,
That gets turned into your insurance? How does that work?
Either way, I'm having work.
Oh, okay. So even if your
Yeah,
insurance.
but, using insurance.
Okay, well, they got it.
yeah, I was kind of shocked to want to see them remove that sheet rock. I thought, why?
you don't know about that.
They took all the sheet rock out of that hallway, and I can't understand why they did it. And I asked this, he said, the insurance came in. But they created more damage than the flood did. They did. But it's repairable, and I told Dusty, as soon as we make sure that it's good to put it back or touch it, because I didn't have any knowledge they even did it. I don't want to touch it until we get clearance from whoever said to do that to fix it. So that's where we're at on junior high. Like I said, your oil and gas is relatively a small project. We've probably got 50% of it done, and it won't take long to knock it out if we can just get the permit. Okay. We're at the mercy of the state on that. They sent the stamp drawings with no permit. That makes no sense at all. That's the state. I think I've covered everything on this, didn't
So some other updates, I mean, we're working on CT expansion. So the overall pricing for the concession stand addition and was all clear. We had a concession stand addition, that's mechanical work, add additional moves in the concession stand area to help keep it cooler more during the really hot days. Accident lighting for the indoor, adding an office, relocating an electrical room. And we also, in the change order and the pricing was the fixing and bringing up the code to your stadium lighting. Since, it was underneath our retaining wall around the field, so we had to move it anyways, but it's supposed to be what, 18 inches underground? 24 inches underground, it was sitting at like 8 inches, so it didn't even meet code.
Wow.
So last go, we put it on the ground, it wasn't bad, it was only like $20,000 or so to fix all those. So the overall budget, the overall concession stand addition with all those things added came out to around 4.5 million. Additional work, we're doing the second level flood study, it's called hydrology study. Essentially, it's really going in depth on how, instead of just kind of looking at an overall view of how water flows, it's gonna look at every curve and hill and pump. Gotcha. Little update on CTE progress. That's kind of the overview same. Here's kind of updated floor plan, which Dustin should be receiving by tomorrow. We just kind of rearranged some items to get the lifts that they wanted and the equipment they wanted in automotive. We got rid of a couple offices and just did one director's office. Just kind of mostly the main changes, and then we added, the biggest thing was we added a rocket classroom, a rocket lab. It goes to rockets, so they'll have a dedicated classroom over there now. Working. This is some updated exterior temporary renderings. Kind of if you guys are kind of feeling like, oh, this is kind of the way we want to go and what to do, we'll go and get official renderings or photorealistic renderings of this building. So any thoughts on that? Concerns?
It's really nice.
That's good to me.
Almost looks like a firehouse.
Ms. Crawford, can you see what we're seeing?
She might not be able to answer, but she was able to see it.
Oh, okay. Should have asked earlier, but.
So that'll completely change the way Panther Street is going to look and flow, especially going up, even on down to the varsity gym area with the way the entry to the stadium is going to be. I mean, that whole Panther Street is just gonna be
Different.
completely different. It's gonna look nice.
More like this street does.
Like it.
So if there's no changes or concerns about the design, I mean, it's very similar to the last one that you guys were showing. Just minor changes to the layout due to floor changes, floor plan changes, but we'll move forward with doing official rendering. So hopefully maybe the next board meeting, we'll have more realistic renderings.
Sounds good.
Do we have final kind of opinion of cost or pricing on that golf thing?
The which one?
Golf?
The mini golf?
We're still waiting to go back to all the other boards.
I know what our internal one is currently.
We haven't put that out.
We haven't put it out, or John is also pricing it to kind of give us an estimate, so we have two different versions, what we think it is versus what you think it is.
All right. Whichever's lower.
I haven't told John what we think it is, so he can do whatever he wants. This is just some interior shots, I believe we saw these last time, in the last meeting. So that would be your pickleball court, basketball court. Due to the Rocket Lab add-on, it did shrink a little bit, so now you only did like a 3-point line kind of court and 1 pickleball court versus 2. Just all we could squeeze onto the side. It will be completely covered. Kind of use what she was using over here as a trails as a sunshade. That'll make it shade, kind of utilizing that as a fence around the court versus doing chain link or anything like that. That doesn't look as good, and not as decorative.
And that can be climbed up?
It'll be steel, it'll be steel too, so it
You
can,
said it will be.
yeah, it'll be steel too, so
Okay.
they're not gonna be able to hurt it. This is your shot on Panther, as you're coming down Panther.
Just floating.
Mm-hmm. That's just, it's not really floaty, I think that's just your shadows.
That's for water to go underneath.
We don't wanna deal with flush drainage anymore, everything's elevated.
Yeah, everything's on scale, that's fine.
She tried to bring in some of the blue brick, because we kind of got rid of your entrance that's brand new there, so bringing the blue brick with the community entrance. Your main entrance will be inside your courtyard, and kind of more closed campus area. Added to the cowl, the blue and white, kind of like what's in the gymnasium, so we've been trying to blend junior high, CTE, competition gym all together, so they kind of relate to each other more. Tea room, I believe RJ showed this to you at the last board meeting. So I just threw these back in here with the finalized renderings, just kind of show you how these all blend together.
It looks really good.
This will be hopefully what your new alleyway between the gym and bleachers will look like.
It makes us look big time. That's neat.
So hopefully when you're standing there, you see your massive indoor facility glowing blue, it's gonna look really cool. Make you in a straight jealous. Interior, your actual team rooms. That space, a meeting room.
If we go there, it won't be fully loaded. Because it'll be.
That's just drainage room. So this is the mini golf facility, so this is kind of more of an updated plan for all our conversations and reductions and moving bowling pieces. I believe like last time your restrooms were up here, move the restrooms down here, and if you're closer to your party rooms, children's area, playing, we did have to reduce down to 4 lanes of bowling versus 6 lanes of bowling. And just do the space and try to stick within your square footage. The rock wall, your golf simulators, your kitchen, we're currently waiting on a layout from our food consultant on what they believe can fit in there. And then that will be your mini golf course layout. And it's designed, it might get a little bigger, depending on what all props Brian, and kind of will work this side, they want to put into it. But it'll be relatively close to the same. And then you have outdoor courtyard space.
Do we have an estimated date for this completion?
Drawing and design, we're shooting for end of September, October, for it to go out for bid. And then bids will be in November, December.
So the actual build itself will take, how long do you think?
It's a rigid frame, so it shouldn't take long. Do you have any estimate how long it would take to build this? 18,000 square foot, but on rigid frame?
After the building starts.
There's really not a lot to it, it's gonna be a metal building, so.
I mean, I said 10 months.
Yeah,
It might
maybe.
not-
Wow.
Oh, that'd be great.
Okay.
Cause it's really concrete and metal building.
Yeah.
That's shorter than I was thinking. so-
Yeah, the biggest thing would be ordering the golfing simulators, the mini golf or the mini bowling, and then getting the mini golf consultant down here that's. We've talked to Rockwall and the play area, which I believe I sent to Brian, I sent you the playground
Yes.
design, kind of got an estimate on price on that. Rockwall was supposed to get back with this, we talked to a company out of Oregon, they do internationally, Rockwall. She's putting together a huge pamphlet with some different items that we can do on the Rockwall itself. This is kind of like an update, aerial view of the design. So the overall design hasn't changed, at least some of the walls kind of pushed and pushed in and out, depending on where we had our original frame sitting, make sure we could not interfere with any of the features inside the building.
It's gonna be really cool. You know, people are gonna call it whack.
Why, that's why.
It's whack. I'm just saying whatever I
So this was just kind of a review of what the indoor CCR is gonna be. The add-ons, pretty much anything in blue right now is kind of on hold until we get a FEMA study done to make sure it is buildable. I'm 50-50 right now on what it's gonna be. Did you guys have anything you need to add?
I don't see.
So we can anything else?
Any questions or?
I don't have any questions. Ms. Crawford, if you can hear, oh,
Yeah,
I can get out of the presentation. Are you done? Let's see, maybe she's texting.
Yeah, we'll have to go move to that item and then that'll go for a vote and then we'll go to the next one.
Now she.
Yeah, the bus.
I can just do it.
Now you can have to, okay. Amy, did you have any questions?
No, I don't, Jamie, but Mrs. Art, that was a lot of good information and a lot of great pictures and stuff. So no, I appreciate it. But no, I don't have any questions.
All right. All right. Well, thank y'all for the update.
Absolutely.
Anything you guys want to do?
Yes, ma'am, please.
Okay.
The next two things, please.
All right. Okay, well, let's move on to B. Let's do the bus barn additional scope change order. Who wants to jump on that?
I don't know if you need me to explain any of it. Essentially, it's just an expedited fee to get material in here a lot faster and build it a lot faster. I did add an extra contingency fund a little bit into the project as well, due to some of the things me and Brian, who does get talked about, that we're gonna add into the building.
Okay.
And then some of the additional data, point-to-point for internet, I'll work with Shelley, trying to coordinate that. We want to add into oil and gas to make sure it's, even though it's temporary, it's gonna work like a normal life. So it's just to cover some of the expenditures coming up.
You don't have any paperwork on that? I mean,
it's just like.
What is it? Is there any paperwork on that?
You should have the change order. There's an email.
oh, okay. All right. Well,
But just to kind of give you an overview, this was your previous, we budgeted 8 million for the project. We were at 6. Even with the add-on of the 225, which we thought was more closely to what the estimate was going to be without the expediting. Right now, you're still at 6.4, so you're still under the original budget that we planned for the project. Just so you know, we're not going with the 10, 12 million, we're still within the budget that we originally planned for.
all right, I'm gonna have to trust you because I cannot see any of those numbers. I can't see that either. You're gonna blow it up.
Zoom in.
So the left one was the previous, that was your contract, the right one is with this change order.
All right, we need a motion to approve that change order.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All right, all in favor?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. All right, let's get it done. All right, C, another change order.
So this one's for the indoor athletics. So I worked with John. We pulled out everything that wouldn't affect FEMA, for the floodplain study. So essentially your 2 additions in the concession stand, the lighting inside didn't come into this one. So we pulled all that out. We're gonna keep that as CCR3, and we did another change order, CCR5, which is this change order.
Okay.
So this will do the Musco, your stadium lighting. It's also your canopy out front of the building. That way Musco can get the footings in and kind of get working on more items and grading that they need to do without slowing down in order to steal. It's the office inside the building with the relocation of the electrical room to fit the office into the building. Is there anything else that we had in that change order?
I think that's it.
Just those things. So it's just anything that wouldn't affect the FEMA study, so last week we keep moving forward.
All right, we need a motion to approve the change order 005.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, on to letter D, strategic plan update. Thanks, guys.
Y'all can leave now and get to work.
Omar, if you need me to call for the buddies, blink twice.
Come on, William, get out the door.
See ya.
All right, thanks, guys, appreciate y'all. All right, Mr. Loftus, you're up. Aren't you doing the strategic plan?
Yeah.
Aren't you the boss of that?
He's actually going to present the fourth thing that we're thinking about adding, but let me go over a few things first.
I'll show you.
Do you have?
Yeah, if every board member has, you can look at this one.
Okay.
So you've got a red line copy here, so I have Mr. Little go in and update the strategy on the academic part. And so if you look at the red points, look at the page 2.
Okay.
4.2A, instructional scope and sequence created. 4.2B, implementation begins with mathematics in junior high and elementary. And then March 25, that's also moved up, partially moving things up faster than what we originally planned. So things are progressing at a faster rate than what we originally planned. That's good. And so that's the red parts. That's all that really changes is we added the scope and sequence in and we needed to reflect that. After you look at the scope and sequence, you go strategic goal number, why don't you say 5, actually? Sorry, is that strategic goal 5?
Should say 4.
Should say 4.
Just say 4.
Did you, or did I put 4, 5?
Is that the new one we're talking about?
Yes.
It's 4.
Should be a 4, okay. So look at the last red one.
Oh,
Right there.
oh, there we go.
Yeah.
And Mr. Loftus, can you expound on that one?
So, yeah, this developed out of just a kind of a just off the wall conversation about, we are addressing very detailed our academic plan on how we want to, based on the community meeting that we had, the 3 goals that came out of that. Well, a big part of our community and our school is athletics. And so out of the conversation that we were having, we decided we need to incorporate how we want to continually to improve athletics as well. And so this conversation just morphed into, we need to do something like this with how we're doing with academics, like developing a scope and sequence on, from kindergarten through 8th grade, they need to learn these skills at the kindergarten level in math to be able to do 1st grade math and so on and so forth, and just to continue. And so this naturally developed into, well, we need to do this with, for example, like elementary PE. Like at kindergarten, we need to teach these basic motor skills or athletic skills to better prepare them, as we get on, as they go through our youth league sports, the skills are being taught within elementary PE. As they get into junior high, so the coaches don't have to spend as much time developing our fundamental skills that they should already been taught.
Is this
That-
kind of a mirror of what we're doing in the high school with the peer, like if someone is in sports, they do this, what is it called?
Athletics.
Yeah, athletics. Is this kind of like this, but for a
It-
smaller level?
In a way,
Okay.
but it puts more structure, because a lot of times it's like, okay, we wanna see an improvement in athletics.
Mhm.
But there's no specifics are written in the plan on how you are going to
Do that.
specifically improve athletics. And so that's what led this conversation about, okay, we need to get this part of our strategic plan, because we're leaving out a big part of what we do within this school system. You know, it's, you know, we all want to improve our academics. We are educators in here, but we are also realistic. Our community, what do they look at? The thing that's always on the spotlight is athletics. Whether we like it or not, it's just the way it is. And so why isn't that part of our strategic plan? To keep us focused on things.
And so what we looked at is, in order to make it a strategic goal, it has to have elementary age included in it. It can't just be athletics. Well, what are you improving when you improve athletic prowess or whatever? Well, you look at it, and this is exactly what we put here: a vertically aligned lifetime fitness development program beginning in kindergarten, focused on building foundational motor skills, physical literacy, and sport-specific readiness for long-term health, fitness, and athletic success across all grade levels. That way, it's not just focused on just athletics. Well, if you want to improve, if you improve motor skills and a lot of things at earlier ages, they will just, the side effect is they'll be better at athletics whenever they've been taught those kind of skills at the elementary level. So that even is going to follow our staffing. So our staffing is even, and Mrs. Komar made this decision last week, wasn't it, for the new, so we have a new elementary PE coach come in, and that will be Mr. Simmons. And he's really good at developing the motor skills in the lower grades. We kind of had to talk Mr. Little into letting him come over there, but I guess Mrs. Komar got it lined up with Mr. Little. Or we did this.
Tell me what she's gonna do.
I don't buy that one. That's what, I don't buy that. Other than, hey,
I just said you need to hire a new, I think that's what I said, isn't it? You just need to hire a new chief.
You lost on our president.
And so, Mr. Little, what do you think on that to add?
Well, I like to add that it's no different than what we're doing in academics, because when we get them to the ninth grade, we want them to be prepared to do algebra 1, right? To do that, there's a lot of fundamental skills they have to have. And so when you get them into athletics, when you get them even in the 7th grade, you don't want the coach spending all of their time teaching them things they should have learned in the 2nd grade. That's what we're doing now in math. So it's just, it all goes hand in hand. And that's what we're trying to develop.
And so all we've laid out is the goal. The rest of it is how to develop that for the framework. That includes everything from what's going on with First Tee in the elementary PE, elementary youth sports. That has a big part of it that we are also gonna get not get our nose in, but we're gonna kind of get into it a little more as far as summer programs. Coaches can do clinics with small kids too, not just high school kids. So we've already got them doing athletic programs in the summer. We're gonna develop a program that includes the little ones too. Like a day or two with the coach puts on a clinic over at the Little League field. Or, that just for example, there's all kinds of things that we can do. So we're gonna also meet with the youth sports. There's supposedly another one coming in. I believe Zach Brandt has something to do with it. And then there's that JPYS also. So we're gonna meet with both of those groups and talk to them and tell them, this is kind of what we're looking at developing on this framework. We need your support on this. And what parents wouldn't, be glad that we were trying to take a little more interest in getting those kids ready and just a little bit more help where they need it.
Well,
Because
it's not
sometimes the
just-
parents don't have what they need.
I'm sorry. And it's not just about preparing them with the basic skills. It's also going to take into consideration physical fitness.
Yes.
Exactly.
We couldn't pass a presidential fitness right now. I don't think the majority of our students can pass it.
Yes.
So it's also about being healthy.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
definitely.
with Coach Simmons coming on board to the elementary with a well-structured elementary PE, I mean, I can speak from experience on this. You you can incorporate a lot of those basic math skills into a PE setting,
Sure.
you know, teaching score, you know,
Mhm.
okay, you know, football scores, you know, you're going by 6, and then if you go for 1, go for 2, but just practicing those kids keeping that score like that.
Actually skip counting.
Yeah, I mean, which is huge in math. And so you can incorporate a lot of those things.
We're teaching them strategy,
Basic,
logic.
basic body movements. For example, crossing your midline. This way, if a kid cannot do that, there's a high correlation that they're struggling with reading. So working on movements crossing midline can help reading skills too. And
Well,
so,
it's indicative, because when you're teaching kids to read, they have to read from left to right. Right. And so if they can't cross midline, which our OT has, worked with the coaches for 2 things. One, if you see a kid and they can't go across their midline, whether it's dribble the ball across their body, or if they do jumping jacks and they can't do this. Now, most little kids, kindergarten, they don't really get that grasp, but that is something that you can work with them. But if they're struggling to a certain point, yeah, that's indicative that they're gonna be struggling with certain skills, reading from left to right. So that's why, when I talked to Coach Simmons, it's not just about foundational athletic skills. It's about physical fitness, and then looking for those things that, as a classroom teacher, you don't have your students stand up and say, okay, everybody cross this line, or everybody take the stuff this way. That's where you need your PE teachers to kind of help with their coordination. Do they need occupation, do they need OT help as well?
It's gonna add time to their PE?
No. And that it's gonna be
Restructures it, right?
restructures it.
yeah, and it gives them a guide of what to do.
That's nice.
And
It
then
sounds,
there's-
it sounds like a great idea that it's actually more focused instead of, I mean, PE's play and there's a spot in children's lives for that as well. Fun play for sure.
Mhm.
Regardless, just fun play. But yeah, to be strategically focused at skills and stuff, that's cooler than crap, I think.
Yeah, and then you have PE for the fun or free play, I mean, that's already there. Recess, not PE. Yeah, recess is already there for free play, so.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. So that way, we're just letting you guys know how we're looking at developing it and making sure you're really okay with it, or as we go, we're gonna check and see if y'all think there's anything we need to put, add, subtract, So far, are you guys thinking that's a good?
I'm gonna tell you, based on, now this might be a little biased, but based on how we are moving along with our strategic plan and our 6-year study compared to every other school district, we're miles ahead of everybody else.
Yay.
I mean, our team that we have, we met with, I'm not gonna say the district name, but, we met with another school district. And you could tell, just sitting in that meeting, the quality of people that we have working towards this compared to what they have working towards it. I mean, we are light years ahead of where we're supposed to be at this point. And you can see that with the adjustments of the dates on when things are expected to be implemented.
Now, will that change the amount of years? Like, will it change from a 6-year study to a 5-year study? Or do we continue it out?
No, it'll
for
still
6
be
years?
tracked for 6 years, no matter how fast we go with it.
Okay,
Because student achievement also has to follow it, no matter how fancy we do our strategic plan.
sure.
If the student achievement and data isn't following it, then we have to go back in and see why it's not. That's why we're developing the framework, which part of that is the scope and sequence and timelines. That's why all of that's very important right now. It's very foundational. In fact, elementary just completed theirs the end of last week, and we were helping them out. They came over here, grade levels at a time, and they've got theirs aligned. Junior high and high school have finished aligning theirs, and so the implementation is crucial starting in August on how well that goes, because then our MAP scores and our MAP data should reflect that. And Mr. Little has some news during his report that is showing that is actually coming to fruition already. So it's really good to see that what we're doing is actually already getting results before we've actually pushed it in with the scope and sequence and alignment.
How's the staff doing with all this?
Good.
Yeah.
Great, yeah. Great staff. I mean,
It'll get better and better. I think
once they realize
with
what
what I,
the expectation is.
the scope that I developed for the teachers, I think at first it could be a little, like
Daunting.
yeah, but I think with the guidance that we've given them and the reassurance and given them the time to be able to organize and plan on how to implement this and not just, give it to them at the start of the next school year and say, good luck.
Right.
We've actually set them up for success instead of setting them up for failure. And so I think with all of that, once they actually get in and start, they've organized it. And now in August, when they're actually on the ground teaching, following that guide, I think they're gonna realize it's made it a lot easier for them to prepare their lessons.
Yeah.
And to guide them in their instruction.
Yeah, the feedback that I got from the staff, because like you said, my staff just finished it last week, and it gives them a place to start, especially because this is a new math curriculum that we're going to be using, and so they had an opportunity to dive into what they were gonna be working and laying out that foundation. And I'm gonna let you know, what he's saying, it's not just lip service. We are actually, like elementary math, we weren't even supposed to finish our sequencing, our pacing guides until next year.
Yeah.
And we've already completed it. And even the person that came down from AIS to work with us, he worked with Buddy and I, and well, I guess you guys, he said, you are so far ahead of all the other districts that I've been working with. So it's not just us noticing we are really ahead of the game here, but it's coming from somebody else who's observing other schools.
Nice.
So
That's amazing. That's really amazing. And that's a testament to great leadership and a great staff. Good job.
Well, we all have the same goal. We all want to see, we're all here for students. It's not about any of us sitting in this room. And I think once you put that ego aside and you're here for those kids, it's very easy to get this stuff done.
Sure.
Yeah, because it puts it, the strategic plan does hold as the glue, and it makes it a lot easier to follow because you can refer back to it. So that way, it stays as a living document, not just something that we have over here, we're just gonna put on the shelf. No, it's like we keep it simple, so that's why I really thought about it before I wanted to add the fourth goal, because I wanna keep it simple enough to follow.
Right.
And simple enough to say, this is what we are doing as a district, but we all have to agree on it.
Yeah.
Is this something
Yeah.
that is worthwhile?
No one's getting lost or overwhelmed.
Yes, yes.
Everybody's all in. So yeah,
Yes.
it's
And they-
obvious, apparently, yeah.
Yes.
That's
Great,
awesome.
great to see. And now we want to make sure that data follows our plan into the next phase of it, which is doing what we're, and that may be where some of the difficult, where the rubber hits the road. But when teachers understand it and get more into it, they're gonna even really like it too.
Good deal. All right, anything else to add?
No, man, you good?
All right, well, thank you both. All right, on to new business. City of Joe,
Okay.
the water line.
So we had a meeting with the city. They said that, what was the cost of that, 600,000?
Yeah.
That was from down by Merriman Construction.
660, I think is what it was.
660. That's supposed to be divided by 3, like we had kind of suspected. And so Jim was in that meeting with the city council.
Okay.
And we all kind of came to the same consensus that school may be back in if it's something that we can actually do. Because the thing about it, it would provide water to anything we decided to develop out there in the future. So we were looking at maybe some RV spots, maybe some teacher housing in the future. It actually would help us to develop that, but not for 600,000.
Right.
So they haven't come back to us with an actual number yet. I'm still waiting on the city manager, I can't do anything until we get anything, but I just wanted y'all to know that that is what happened. There was a miscommunication from the city to us, telling us that that was just our third. They thought it was just, I mean, I don't know how, they got their wires crossed somewhere. And so we uncrossed them because I showed them the email. And I showed them what they had said, and they were like, no, it's not 600,000 just for that. I said, okay, well, let's redo this, reconvene it, and then y'all can come back to us. So anyway, they decided to come back. They also decided to help fund the Little League after all, because they were pulling out of that. However, they figured that after I showed them the agreements on that as well, Little League is not the school's business or place to be putting their nose. It's not our program. We can't fund things that aren't. That'd be like us funding the senior center. We can't fund it if they're out of our program, whether they're out of high school or not in our programs yet as far as athletic. So that's the problem. That's that, and they have come back in gangbusters now with the Little Leagues helping. So Little League is back on, they're really helping out. So that meeting was really good because we were able to get a lot of our agreements back on track. Very productive.
Okay.
So, and even a renewed support from the city.
Good,
Just letting y'all know, it's really good. Good stuff.
cause, yeah, okay, I'm just.
Yeah, our relationship ever since that meeting has been very productive.
Good.
Yeah.
Good, cause, yeah, I'm gonna keep that to myself. On to letter B, turf replacement at the football field.
So those quotes didn't come in, so I didn't have a dollar amount there. What this is insurance, because we're waiting on the insurance to kick in. But if we have to write a check for it before the insurance reimburses us, it has to come from our funds. So that way you guys have to approve it if we have to pay for it before we get reimbursed.
Okay.
And so you can see the quotes there.
So basically, they totaled our turf from the flood damage from the sediment. However, the insurance indicated that there might be a little delay in payment for the damage due to them wanting to understand what is being done to address
Okay, yeah.
the flow
That
of
makes
the
sense.
flood water.
Yeah.
However, we need to keep moving, otherwise we're not going to have a turf for football season.
Okay, can I ask
Or
a
track,
really dumb
season.
question? Can I ask a really dumb question? Why is it that the sediment can't be removed? I mean, don't we like vacuum the turf
There's
to
a lot of-
begin with?
There's not a way
There's
to
not a way
do
to
it,
do
and even if you could, it is so thick across about half of the field. It even rippled the field.
And the problem is, we don't know what's in that. We've got oil field waste coming off of insecticides, pesticides, and we're going, wait, we want that, all that coming down from that, and kids laying on it, you
You're
know, that's.
scrapping the whole thing and starting over.
Yeah, we brought the company down, manufacturer from Denver, to look at the turf to see if there was anything in it. There is nothing that they have, short of bringing a street sweeper, but then it probably wouldn't even do anything anyway, and then you just ruin your turf even more.
Right, okay, all right, I just had to ask.
Yeah. So what we have here, we actually have two quotes here. One is for if you look at quote number, let's start with 1301330 there. Okay, 3030. See with me? Okay. That is for the exact same turf and infill that we have. Okay, which comes out to $911,000. That's on the very back page of that quote there.
Okay.
Okay. The other quote is to replace the turf, but with a different infield. It's for the rubber infield instead of I call it like the wood chip
Mhm.
infield.
And the idea was that it was gonna be cooler, not so
Yeah.
hot, but
It is cooler, however, our kids hate it, the coaches don't like it, the visiting team.
and it's not,
Shoes and cleats.
and it's not as soft either, it's hard to walk. When you
The
get
ones we
there.
currently have.
The one we currently
They're
have.
sliding on it, yeah.
Yeah.
We're having all kinds of issues, even though it's only maybe 5 degrees cooler, that is the only benefit that we're seeing. The rest is not as, it's inferior to the rubber as far as performance. More than,
And so the quote 1329 is for the same turf, but with the rubber infield. And it's less, it's 848, 549, 840,000.
insurance is paying for both.
Yes,
Right.
insurance is paying for.
So either or. So it depends on which way y'all wanna go, that's what the insurance is gonna do.
So it sounds to me like if the kids, the actual players and the coaches are in agreement on this letter, we're not with that.
That's, we think that too, but that's up to you guys to
Yeah,
decide.
it's such a big price tag.
Yeah, yeah.
And just present
Yeah.
options to you guys.
And we will be paid either way, even if we have to write a check, the insurance
It's
will
gonna
reimburse.
reimburse us.
Yep, the thing is it's about a 6 to 8 week to get the turf even here.
Okay.
And so, you're looking at midsummer for the turf to even get here, and then you have to install it before.
How long is the install?
The install doesn't take that long,
About a week or two.
yeah, it's just making sure that the product is here.
Mhm.
And so we just couldn't afford to wait on the insurance to
Sure.
pay out,
Right,
because we wouldn't have a field to play on.
and we're getting reimbursed anyway.
Exactly,
It's not-
that's kind of our thought process on that, is to bring it to you guys so we could make sure that we have that turf in time for football season.
Ms. Crawford, what do you think?
Can you hear me?
Yes, now we can.
Okay, so there's a whole bunch of crazy static going on. For whatever reason, it just sounds like crazy.
Yeah.
Popcorn popping like crazy. So I heard most of your conversation, but I'm in agreement with whatever y'all believe. We gotta do what we gotta do, right?
Right,
Yeah.
So-
okay. All right, so,
Do we gotta make a motion on this?
Yes, please.
do you wanna make a motion, Randy, to go with, the 13029?
Yes, ma'am, with the crown number.
Okay, can we get a second on that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I read her lips. All in favor?
Yes, yes.
Okay,
I even voted yes on that.
thank you.
Oh, wait, yeah.
Okay, letter C, Open Meetings Act Resolution 2025-2026 school year.
Okay, and that's just a continuance of
It's the
the
same thing
good
every
old
year.
open meetings like we do every year.
An Open Meetings Act just means that we're not allowed to have a secret meeting. You have to have it posted 72 hours in at least, 3 prominent places. And, we can't, like, the board can't meet together, down at the restaurant, all 5 of us and have our own little meeting. This is just that. And we all agreed to this when we got on the board. So we need a motion to approve that.
I'll make that motion. To approve the open meetings act.
All right, all in favor?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, new computers for high school computer lab.
Okay, so Ms. Taylor, on her technology, her computers are approaching a little over 5 years old, and they need to be replaced. That is ed tech money, and that is a CES quote. If you saw the ed tech dollars while ago, I think we're good for it.
Yeah. I think we can handle it.
And I'm looking to look at drones, just don't.
Oh, okay, calm it down.
Soon we have a place to
Okay,
go.
so this is D right here, okay. All right, so we need a motion to approve the new computers for the high school lab for $68,640
Go,
and 72 cents.
Go.
All right, all in favor? Hey, man, she threw that out fast.
It's-
I ain't waiting on
Get
it.
a computer.
We're getting them computers. Okay, Letter E, the new elementary addition bell system for $24,951.85.
Yeah, so this is just to add the new system into the
Everything's
addition.
in,
Yes. Same thing, ed tech as well.
Awesome,
make the motion.
all right.
Wait a minute, 24
Oh, you all passed on the last one.
million?
What's that?
Look at the bill system, 24.
I think it's 24,941
Yeah.
and 85 cents, right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. The comment.
There's a couple where it should be.
Whoa.
Okay, with that amendment,
Amendment.
yes, that amendment. Now are we okay, Amy?
Yes, ma'am, we're good.
I could spend $24 million.
Yeah, all in favor?
You're the proofreader, it's you.
I know, well, I read it the way it was supposed to, you know, to
Go
work.
with that.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't even know you said 24,000.
I did say 24,000, I did, I really did.
You
All
did
right.
say that, but then I looked at it and I'm like, wait a minute. Yeah, we've looked at a lot of big numbers today.
I know, well, I'm not, it's a good thing I can see any of these numbers right now. Okay, letter F, district housing options.
Okay, so I gathered up some different quotes, everything from more duplexes to individual housing options.
Okay,
All of the houses are gonna be full coming into this school year. So what we need to do is kind of explore our options for the future.
okay, remind me how many we have right now, teachers.
Well, a lot. 18, I believe, right now. We have 18 total units with the 8 new that are coming online. With the 8 new ones, 4 of them aren't online yet, so that's with the new ones.
Okay.
So the problem is still in the community where there's nowhere for them to move if they do move. Like there's no affordable options or any other options or an apartment they can move into, or if they get out of ours and have to leave. Like if we say, okay, you've been there X amount of years, you need to leave now.
Do we have any that are coming up to that?
Yeah, some of them are coming up to 700 a month, no one's at the 800 a month, which it starts at 5, after 3 years it goes up 100 a month. So there's one that's at 700 right now, one person. And so the option is, do you tell them they need to leave the house, or do you just keep expanding the house, the schoolhouse? And the current market, there's just no way to expect all of these teachers to move out of the schoolhouse right now. Not the housing isn't there for them to move into. If the community ever develops or we get some more housing options, we get an apartment building and we have somewhere for them to go, then I don't have a problem at all saying you've timed out. There are housing options for you.
You know, it'd be nice with all these houses that are abandoned in this community.
We have some.
You know, another problem is we're almost in competition with other entities
Right.
trying to buy up houses, existing homes.
Oh,
And
100%, yeah.
And that's
And
why.
we're winning because we have more money than most. But we need to quit that. Yeah, we've already agreed we're gonna quit that. And that's just not.
And so what we've done is, or what I've done the last few years is pivot over to these kinds rather than existing neighborhood houses that take a family that was gonna buy a house and it knocks them out. I think the other entities ought to do that, but I'm not there, I don't have anything to do with them. But I really think they should do the same type of thing by developing new housing opportunities rather than buying existing. And we've done that and it's successful because we literally have 8 more houses where 8 more teachers can live and not take up existing houses that families are moving. And the families are moving into these houses that are for sale. So I mean, it's working, but it's one of those things that if we have the funds to do it, why not? Because then you also saw in the budget, the revenue stream that it's creating. We're literally creating revenue from houses that otherwise we wouldn't even have. It's revenue that we're using from one fund to put into another fund.
What kind of feedback have you gotten, if any, about the duplexes?
Amazing. There's a little old lady or an aged lady group. There's some seasoned seniors that are when I go into the restaurant, they called me over there and was saying, these are so nice that someone actually cares what something looks like. They're not just throwing mobile homes up, they're not just throwing, the houses are actually nice.
But more
But the
specifically, the
parade,
people who
hardcore.
live in there, what are they saying?
Same thing, they're beautiful, I mean, they're just better than what they thought was gonna be. So when we first set them there, they looked like those double wides, and people were like,
Yeah.
They were really complaining that much, but they sure were
Ain't
totally.
nothing wrong with a
Yeah.
double wide, ding dong.
Yeah.
Come on, jeez.
But they were just plain Jane, and they thought that's what we were doing, like man camp housing is what they looked like. They didn't even look as pretty as a double wide actually.
No.
And so after we got through with them, people were just coming up saying, these are so much nicer than we thought they were.
The bricks,
The brick, the two-tone, the carpets, they just look, makes you want to live in one, really.
Yeah.
And so
And
that
the
is,
carports and the concrete, yeah, it looked
Yes.
really nice, yeah.
and that's a better option for the school as far as maintenance, yard keeping. I don't have to get on the teacher, you need to go keep your yard. You know, that, I haven't had to tell one person in the duplexes because they're rock, and it's just really nice. It's on a maintenance standpoint, all the way around. So that's what we're getting. So what I was looking at is a couple of things. Woolworth has lots all over town and they're willing to sell the school.
Okay.
So if we wanted to finish developing Second Street, we could. Or we could put another duplex unit in, we could even get more land over there at the elementary site. Or we could get some land in general campus. So there's several options that I'm gonna kind of unroll over the next few months.
Okay.
Because there's not a big emergency, but we're already out of housing again.
Yeah.
So it's one, but we've added an extraordinary amount of positions. And we still were able with the 8 new units to accommodate it all.
Right.
For right now, we're holding and able to accommodate. But I would like just even 1 or 2 extras.
Yeah.
So what I mean by that is the more viable thing is Second Street. Because there's an empty lot already there between the schools. So the school has 3, and then there's a rehabbed house and then there's an empty lot right there that another one could slot in. Or there's 4 or 5 lots on the other side of the street, so the school could start developing that street
That would be
for,
nice.
for
That would be nice to clean that street up.
employee housing. And so that's up to you guys on which route you wanna take. The only problem is it's kind of like a slippery slope on housing, like what do you do? At what point do you stop? Do we have 120 houses one for each employee before it's over? I mean, that's where, you know, there's gotta be something, as long as the housing market is in the shape that it is, I don't see another alternative at this time. And that's where I'm at. That's where I've come down to that conclusion. If you guys have a different idea or something, I don't know. And if we have the funds, then we make money off of them. So we're actually making money. You saw it in the budget. It's per month, quite a bit.
You're providing housing for people that don't have, like,
Yeah.
there are options.
The
Right.
the alternative to that, if we don't have the housing, we don't
We won't have
have
staff.
the highly qualified staff.
Qualified, yeah, yeah.
Isn't that right, Mr. Little?
Yes.
He's in one of them. So it has helped to have beautiful
We
houses.
drove a guy around today that's gonna be an outstanding addition.
Yeah,
If it wasn't for the housing, he wouldn't be coming.
We were able to recruit a high school principal back into teaching because
Right.
I mean, that's kind of, you don't see that very often. I've never seen the opposite effect because actually making more as a teacher here than a high school principal and taking a small town. Good for us.
So this is, right now, this is just discussion.
Yes, it's just for
Okay.
discussion.
But I would like the whole board to be here.
Yes, before y'all make that. All right, so yes, on Second Street, can I get a motion to develop Second?
I mean, I'm all for it.
Well,
I'm all for it.
I wanted
Jim.
to, I wanted to tell Jim what all we agreed while he was gone.
Now, do we own that property already, or?
No, that's the Woolworth, but the Woolworth would be willing to sell some of those lots.
Okay.
So, and I know I say that because they're willing to sell them to someone else, so surely they'd sell them to us.
yeah.
You know, and I can visit with them, but I wanna make sure that's a direction y'all wanna go in before I even would have that conversation with what they would wanna do.
I would really like to see them on Second Street just to pretty it up.
And we've made them pretty maintenance free. There's turf in the back and a rock in the front, so there really is no, there's really no upkeep on the yards except spraying that yard killer on the front.
First Street could use some help too. There's 2 pretty houses on this street.
And mine's not one.
Yours is one.
Oh, okay.
Yours is
Yeah,
one.
one of them. Yeah, there's 2 houses.
There's 2 pretty houses there.
But the opportunity really presents itself easier on Second Street, because the Woolworth's already taken care of all the demo, and you just got nice empty lots sitting there with all, and the utilities are becoming more of an issue all the time. They're already there, already sitting there, ready to go.
Okay.
So anyway. and
Let's
we'll
go
talk
ahead
about
and do it right now, forget Tim and Renee, just forget them.
We'll bring that out again in June, but I wanted you guys to see it now, so there's no surprise, like, what are we doing? And then that way we can have another discussion with everybody again in June, if that's all right. I may put something on there for June.
Okay.
And like, pursuing more of the Second Street option, if everybody agrees. Okay.
All right, awesome. Anything else to add to that? All right, let's move on to letter G, Chromebooks. Tell me what, that IT works, they just want all kinds of money for everything.
So like, she's in the right meeting.
So why the Chromebooks instead of the iPad? What's the deal with this, Snow?
Yeah, really, it's just us.
I really don't like the iPads.
Why is that,
Well-
Snow?
Like, why would I talk like that?
Yeah, I thought she's on the stand.
Sounds very, I mean, she's the IT person, but, yeah.
You know.
Is that a legit question?
Yes.
Oh, because the management on it and the maps testing doesn't work well with the iPads. It's not that, it doesn't, the microphone and so you have to do it to work.
What are we doing with the iPads and Snow?
Translations for the Spanish speakers only.
That's great. And then what about those other ones with the, wasn't there a church or a?
Yeah, there's a
needs-
Christian academy that needs iPads and computers, so we're talking about maybe donating
Some of those.
them. Like this computer lab that's gonna be getting replaced, maybe doing those as well.
Okay.
To give them a computer lab along with some iPads.
And so when y'all vote to get rid of the obsolete equipment, we're still gonna tell you what we did with it.
Sure.
So if it's an organization like that, then we can let them have some iPads. A lot of the iPads are approaching 6 and 7 years anyway. If they were computers, they would be aging out.
Right.
So that's just the way technology is going.
But the iPads just don't do what we need them to do anymore. Management on them isn't as restrictive as we need it to be.
Okay. Ms. Crawford, do you have any questions?
No, ma'am. I'm good.
All right, then we need a motion to approve the Chromebooks for $136,893.90.
Go, Randy.
Anyway, you want to second it?
He was.
Second. Yes, ma'am.
Aye, all in favor?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. All right, letter H, policy service advisories, 246 through 260, third read.
So the 246 through 260 is the one that we went over where the verbiage has changed.
That's the nicotine.
It's very simple stuff. So we have to go through the process of 3 reads. So you guys would probably, if you would entertain a motion on it, if not, you can push it to the next meeting, but there's really nothing controversial there, other than adding vapes and defining nicotine more.
Just the back one.
I say we go ahead and work on it right now.
I agree.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second. Yes,
All
ma'am.
right, all in favor?
Yes, ma'am.
Nice. Okay, letter I.
And 261 to 262 is more of the same.
And this is, I went over last month, so this is gonna be our second read on this. This is the new graduation requirements, starting for the freshman cohort of this next school year.
Oh, yeah.
So just kind of a little refresher, it says that kids can earn a high school credit in health and possibly Algebra 1 in junior high that will carry over up to their high school. Kids do not have to take Algebra 2 anymore. It has to be offered, but it does not have to be a required math course anymore. So Algebra 1, geometry, and then
Financial literacy.
yeah, or, they've even given the flexibility of some of your other like CTE courses could be coded in a way where they could get a math credit or an English credit into that as well. There is also that, the 2 credits that you guys get to pick, 2 elective credits. But like I said last time, that Mr. Little will come forward with a recommendation in his handbook on those, in the June, next month, on the recommended, what he would like to see from you guys based on our capability of what we can do.
I'll give you some options, like,
Yeah.
I'll give you 2 or 3 options, and y'all can decide which one.
And we'll put that in as the third read next time, so you guys can look at it and decide which way you want.
Okay.
But it's still 24 credits so that hasn't changed, but it's giving more flexibility to how kids can earn math credits and English credits. It's putting more focus on a CTE based learning now. Mr. Little, have I missed anything?
No, we have to create a graduate profile, which is
Yeah.
another part of it, and I'll bring that in June also.
Okay.
No, you did everything.
Yeah, and you guys got that last time. I was just trying to get the highlights to try to refresh the memory there on what we talked about. But it's again, just a second read. We'll go for a,
So we don't need a motion on this.
no, we'll go for approval next month on that one for you guys.
All right, number 8, items for future discussion or consideration. Anybody have anything?
I don't have anything, no ma'am.
No?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
Not right off the top of my head.
Amy said no? I don't have anything. Let's move on to principals reports.
All right, well, Mr. Little's already talking.
Actually, that's what we were talking about. I said if he got up, I said, go.
I saw that pile of paper, I was like, oh my God.
This pile is what we're gonna talk about tonight. Oh, no, I'm kidding.
Chapter 1, page.
Alright. Okay, so finishing up our class enrollment at 290. The buddy crew gave a wonderful, I thought, presentation, they were best better match. And I was so impressed with those kids because they were really the ones that came forward and said, Mr. Mark, can we do this? And that's how their memories. Correct, and that's how you get change. The Touch a Truck event for students will expand. If you'll recall, the last meeting, I said I just met with the guy. So in a short amount of time, we got that, I shouldn't say he got that put together. And it was a lot of JAL vehicles that were there and a couple from the county. But we're hoping to expand that for next year because I think that the kids really did enjoy going through the trucks and seeing them up and close and personal. And then, so tomorrow, it's a very busy day in elementary. Kindergarten graduation's at 10 in the gym. Pre-K graduation's at 12:45 in the gym. And then tomorrow, 5th grade, end of the year program at 5 in the auditorium. And then we've got certificates that we'll present to the 5th graders with a little gift.
The 5th grade program, is that Ms. Ragland?
Yes.
Her musical?
And that's in the auditorium.
Okay.
So she always refers to it as the end of the year program, but so that's just what I call it, but it is the 5th grade.
Just
musical.
making sure.
And then, Wednesday is our field day, and it's from 8:30 to 11:50 at the practice field, and if you recall, I asked if you would mind participating.
Absolutely.
And
What time
I
will you
do-
be there again? Silva?
Tomorrow,
Field day.
for field day, about, I think Wednesday, about, 10 o'clock.
10, okay.
Because I think we start serving the little ones pretty soon. What time are the little ones eating this
So
morning?
the little ones, we'll move it up a little bit, so, but we'll start them, about 10:25. So your field day shirts are in there, and then the little something to say thank you for serving.
Mrs. Moore, will they have the griddle over there?
Yes, it should still be over there, all of that is maintenance, and we gave them there to do with. Ms. Chavez is the one that puts it together, and she does an amazing job putting that, running all of that, but maintenance got their crew, so, I will double check with Casey. Oh, and this is Ms. Crawford. So, field day shirts are in there, and a little thank you for serving. And all the greens in there. Yeah, check out the shirts if you'd like.
So you said 10 o'clock next Saturday?
Oh, you don't get
What was that, Ms. Crawford?
Hi, 10 o'clock?
Oh, yes. On Thursday, Wednesday. I
Wednesday.
mean, you said more than one straight.
Grace is gonna steal mine again.
So, Mr. Snyder,
Yeah.
your shirt is on record, maybe your shirt,
Okay.
because last year he lost it.
I'll put it on the night.
It's just like, please, that'll work. So here's the other ones, okay? And then, and then Thursday, maybe 20 seconds into the class parties, you're more than welcome to come by. And then the maths testing results for next month. Because I had a lot to say, I was only going to touch on reading for this month, and then next month, I was gonna go over math. So I'm reading, this one was, we didn't see as much progress in this class, second grade, and only because one of our teachers was on maternity leave for about 8 weeks. But I still, the reason I went ahead and showed you is because, so at the beginning of the year, when they tested, there's the 172 bar. So when they earned 172 points, you can see it was an average, okay? Here's what they had at the end of the year. This is where you scored at 172. So to take this many and just have this many that were still in the low, that's a lot of progress.
Okay.
And this was probably the grade that didn't show as much progress as the rest of them. So the rest of them, especially in kindergarten and first grade, we had a lot of progress. So I can't give you these, and only because it has student names on the back, but I can get you, like what Mr. Little's gonna show you is something that I'll do next time for reading and math. I just wanted to kind of show you. So here was first grade, and once again, so 159, you were into the high average. And then there's 159. So you see how the students are progressing, the bar's being raised, but those kids are meeting the progress because what earns you a high average over here is now low. We didn't have as many kids. We still have kids not only making their yearly progress as first graders, but they also increased. Okay. If that makes sense. And that's all I was gonna show you, Mr. Snyder. I have your reports right here, and then I'm gonna read the charts here. Do you guys have any questions for me?
I do not, thank you.
So next month, I wanted to talk about, and I'll touch on it now, some of the things that we want to do for next year. So our math curriculum is new, and we hopefully will be in a new building and we won't be as cramped as we are right now. But there are, in addition to improving our PE program and improving our math scores, which you'll also see we were able to do in such a short amount of time. And I think the scope and sequence, giving teachers a skeletal framework to say, you have the power to say, so like what happened was he took the standards and said, instead of the teacher having to do the research that New Mexico says, these are the standards that you should be really focusing on. Mr. Loftus said, and went through each grade and said, okay, in math, these are the standards you need to be working on. They might ask one question on measurement. They don't ask more than that. But they'll ask several questions on adding, fractions or something like that, so that the teacher can look at it and say, okay, so when I'm doing my lesson plans for the year, giving the skeletal framework for it, I don't need to spend as much time on measurement as, wow, I really need to spend my time on fractions. And so that kind of, with the new curriculum, because we have a new math book that they're going to be using, that saves them time. That's what they spend their time going, okay, instead of going chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4, because you don't have to do that. You could say, all right, at the beginning, we're going to be working on this foundational skill so that by the time we get to Christmas, we can work on fractions so that we can. So it gives the teacher the freedom to be able to move the lessons around according to student needs and what's expected from the state. So it's kind of a marriage of all of that, so that gives the teachers directions. So we'll have a new curriculum. We've got that math 180, which is the new interventions. We've got 180, which is the reading interventions. We're focusing on a fitness program in PE. We've got First Tee coming up, and then some of the other little things. Like, I was so impressed with our student council this year. They really did an amazing job for us. And things that we want to bring back, like, I talked to Mr. Lee about 2 months ago because he's gonna be moving back to elementary. And one of the things that, I don't know if y'all remember back in the day when the kids used to take the flags down and then they learned how to properly fold them. I don't have anybody that does that, so about 2 months ago, I said, Mr. V, you're coming back. Could you start with student council and teach them how to properly fold the flag whenever the kids, or whenever our custodian takes it down? And he was all thrilled about, taking the flags back and teaching them how to do that. And it's funny, because Anais asked me about it.
We just talked about it
Last
randomly,
week, I think, yeah, and
I put a new flagpole up and put a new flag, and I said, remember how to pull the flag? She goes, no. I said, let's do it. So I had Charlie and Harlan.
Nice. Yeah, and so she asked me about it, and I said, that's interesting, because I just had that conversation with Mr. B about 2 months ago. Yeah, those things, you need to come back, because what other opportunities do the kids have to learn those kind of values, those kind of traditions? So anyway.
If I could add to that real quick,
Yes.
Casey Taylor just put on Facebook about the proper retirement of flags.
Yes, I responded to it.
Okay,
Because-
he has expertise in that, maybe he could come in that whole process with Mr. V and maybe talk about that.
I would show them how to do that, it's true, that's true, because,
About how you retire it, like why do you retire it?
Or even the folding.
Yeah, the folding, like
Correct.
why is
That'd
it,
be great.
why is it wrong when you have a shredded flag flying, like why is
not
that?
letting the flag touch the ground,
Exactly.
that kind of stuff, yeah. So I did see Casey's post and I responded to it, because what I used to do with our old flags, we used to give them to Mr. Ellison and Mike Orr and all of those, and so, they didn't take the flags anymore, we no longer have that organization, and so Mr. Rick Little was taking our flags to the veterans place up in Hobbs, VFW, and they were disposing our flags properly. So it's nice that we don't have to do that. I'm still short on time than he is though, by the way. That's all. Okay. So, any other questions?
No.
All right. Well, I heard the boat clearing from over there, so.
That means it's time to wrap it up.
That's why I said it's still shorter. The look, that's what made me laugh. Just the look.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
Since we met last time, 8th graders went to the NMJC Museum for a presentation on the Manhattan Project. It was outstanding. They had replicas of the bombs, the actual bombs in there, the whole 9 yards, and they talked about, you've seen the movie, right?
Yeah.
So they all came back excited. It was, what? Okay, the science fair also took place since the last board meeting, was very successful. Projects were outstanding. Morning of the science fair setup, we found out that the junior high gym had suffered flooding damage and was not available. We moved the junior high science fair into the commons area, the high school and the elementary did their own down in the elementary, so it worked out. The theater production in Greece was a huge success. Even the superintendent and board member that participated did a great job. Seriously, it was outstanding. My hat's off to the staff and students that were involved. They did a very good job.
Thank you very much.
I was impressed.
It was fun.
You played the role. It was
I did.
perfect. Junior high school physicals have been completed for next year's student athletes. Exception was some of the 5th graders didn't get theirs completed, but the clinic's gonna allow them to come out to the clinic and get on that for free. And then graduation was a success. All seniors graduated. One little hiccup that stressed Mr. Goss, Mr. Schneider, and me out for about 75 minutes. Mr. Goss had his possession was not in the order that the students were lined up in. I thought after a brief panic, I bet it's in the folder on the podium. And there it was. Next year, senior sponsors will send that updated list on Thursday before graduation, so he has it a little ahead of time. I would like to.
I'm glad Renee was there to catch that, because otherwise he would have just started Name
With
it.
that,
He didn't catch that, I did.
That was old.
Renee caught it. He's like,
But that's the-
that's not so-and-so.
That's the point with that first student.
Mr. Chavez did.
Yeah, I remember the first
Oh, was
student.
that you? Okay, gotcha.
It was a boy, but a terror was his last name.
Yes.
So we're standing there, and I said, pretty sure his last name's Gutierrez. Which is across the 50 or 64.
Let's just go by first name.
So Randy said something to
I told
Renee.
Renee, I was like, hey.
Yeah.
Not in order.
Renee comes to me and he says, that's not the order.
So, yeah.
And so Amy goes, Jim, the thing's not order, and Jim goes, his face automatically.
The color left his face.
If I've been in my right mind, you know how it is when you're sitting there?
Please tell me you're messing with me. And we go,
And they
we're not messing with you, that's not Emily Acosta, that is a dude. Tell me you're messing with me, tell me right now, like he was.
Maybe a daily over.
Now you're sitting there and all of a sudden someone says, this isn't right, and you panic, and you're like,
Uh-oh.
and then I was like, Deanna. Finally relax a little bit, oh, maybe it's in unplugging where.
And it was.
She panicked too.
She did.
Well, I have to come out here. One thing I'd like to consider next year, I didn't realize the student, Mr. O'Brien, you know, came to the grade, realize his son was a member of that class.
So he was not a member of the class, he was homeschooled, but he was a
But this
member of
was his
athletics.
graduating class.
And, well, if he was in school,
Yeah.
but his athletics he did, so we were trying to think, about.
Maybe in the future, add or something, yeah, slideshow in memory of, and, you know,
If there's someone that had, you know, in class, or we don't ever know from year to year. but, you know.
On the back side of this, you do have a calendar. I was told today that the 5th grade promotion time changed.
Yes, it's at 5, not 5:30.
So you might make a note of that on Tuesday, May the 20th, that's 5th grade moving on ceremony is 5, not 5:30. Scholarship,
It's on the paper that I gave him.
okay.
It's on the notes that I gave you. It says.
Oh, okay.
List of scholarships is about $50,000 given to that class. Anybody would like to look at that, there's a list. I want to talk a little bit about math scores. I want to look at reading across the board, elementary and junior high school, is pretty solid. It can improve, but it's pretty solid. It's not something we're stressed about. Math we've been
Right.
stressed about, and that's why our focus area was math first. So this is 6th grade reading. So what I want you to focus on here is that, obviously, you see 3 high averages at the beginning of the year. The high averages are 7 at the end of the year, we increased. You see yellows turning to blue. Yellows maybe staying yellow, but you're seeing a 208 turn into a 217. That's an increase. Down here, you're seeing a large group of lows. Over here, you're seeing only 4 lows. So as we're moving through the 7th grade and reading, we're increasing our scores. That's outstanding. What I'm most excited about is that in math, at the beginning of the year, we went into straight math 180. We didn't teach any core stuff. In other words, 6th, 7th, and 8th, we taught nothing grade level. Because they tested so low at the beginning of the year when they came in, that we thought, man, we've got to do something because their fundamentals are terrible. There's a lot of reasons for that, COVID, I mean, the whole 9 yards, but, so we put them in, everybody in math 180, and so we're gonna just focus on remediation the whole semester. And then at semester, right before semester, we adopted the new textbooks that you guys approved. And we literally moved into those at semester, and our junior high math teachers, had already been working on standards and benchmarks. In fact, they've been working with Dusty some. You rolled ours out about February, didn't you? Early March. So they knew what the focus was gonna be on the test, and so they only had a semester to actually teach core level stuff after remediating students for a semester. Go to 8th grade math, oh, we're in it. Oh my gosh, look at this. This is page 1, but there are no red. You're gonna see more reds over here in a second, but look at all the oranges that turned to yellow. And then move on up. You're gonna see the low score at the beginning of the year was 176. Low score at the end of the year was 200.
Okay.
Wow.
And that's the most, and not only that, our high school SAT scores on the reading side, the counselors are telling me that are as high as they've ever seen since I've been here. And across the board, you're gonna see reading and math as an improvement. But I'm just tickled to death. And I think a lot of it has to do with, you put a little bit of bite in it. I said, you guys need to go in there and try. Because if you don't try, you're not going to do well, and you're gonna end up in a remedial course next year, an additional math course, or an additional English course, and you're not going to get to take those electives. So I think they went in there with an effort versus going in there and just, you know what I mean? And I think that makes a big difference. Long story short, I was tickled to death with our results. Very, very happy.
Me too.
And I think it's only gonna get better. I was telling, Ms. Kovar a second ago, I think in 3 years, we're gonna look back and say, man, we're just killing this stuff.
Yeah, because there's a lot of things, say elementary, I talked to Ms. Komar about, a lot of things they just put in place that haven't even had time to take root.
Right.
And she did see some improvement, but that's where I'm saying you're gonna start seeing bigger improvements because a lot of the things she just did are not showing up yet. They're of course corrections that we've made, but you're not gonna see it until they start showing up into the scores. So like Mr. Little said, and Ms. Komar is gonna do, make it where there's a little more bite, like if you don't pay attention to this and try your best, you will have 2 PE classes per week instead of 4. And you're gonna wanna be in that PE because they're gonna be in all kinds of fun stuff. You know, that's what you have to entice the little ones with it. And then the older ones, well, you don't get to take any electives, and we've got all these cool electives and this whole building we're building for different kind, you're not gonna be able to take any of that, because you've gotta get your math scores.
And after students took that math test, they were coming into the counselor's office asking, did I raise the scores, did I raise the score, I want to get out of that, you know.
And then also, they had a greater emphasis on attendance, giving away prizes. You saw, that was the coolest award ceremony because they had prizes. Then he said, if you have less than this many absences and this average, you don't have to come to school. Oh my gosh, you could hear them all like they were winning a game show. It was like, it was kind of like the process.
Right, take the test or anything.
I woke up my daughter this morning, she goes, why are you waiting? I'm done with school.
Yeah, because she qualified for their.
Yes, and so that's the deal, so and then also when you're raising the bottom line, when the lowest score is higher, then, in other words, the reds are even raising.
Yeah.
So when your reds are even going up with the increase, Ms. Komar showed the expectation increases. Well, even whenever you're bucking that trend and still raising the reds, that's when you're making some meaningful progress. Not only are you improving, but you're getting rid of that. Even the expectation goes up during the over, but if you could still eliminate red with expectation going up, that's.
There's no excuse, like in math next year with the stuff Dusty did.
We've been working on, yeah.
If a teacher goes in there, let's say, sometimes an elementary teacher or even a high school teacher reads a content standard, they're not gonna even know what that means. Yeah, but he made it so that whenever they can open his book and look at that content standard benchmark, he actually has examples of what it is and
What it looks like.
assessments. Yeah, everything's, I mean, it's like, sometimes if I was a teacher, if they actually, we gotta make sure that they implement it, it's gotta be done right. If you just let them do what they want, they're not.
And we've even had similar initiatives here before, but if it's not just from the top all the way down, has to be a goal, and we didn't have this before, and we didn't have it as an expectation that wasn't going away. So what I'm saying is if it's something, well, I'll do that because I have to get that into a scope and sequence, and yeah. Well, if it's not followed, that's where we have to stick to what we say. Where we're making advanced progress now, but it'll all be in the data later on whether it's actually taking root.
Some people will actually they'll make you think that they're doing it, but they're still doing what they're doing. 20
Yeah,
years ago,
yes,
in the class.
they're gonna do all the dog and pony show and tell you that, but we're gonna make sure that's what's going on.
Enrollment, junior high 123, I didn't write that down, so if you want to write it down, 123 in the junior high, 148 in the high school for a total of 271. I'm done. He did most of the talking.
He did. Ms. Komar, are you still hovering around 300?
Yeah, we're at 290.
Okay, 290, and yet we're,
Thank y'all.
All right, Super, you're up.
okay, so I have about 5 pages of, now I just, they're always really short and sweet. Okay, so May 20th, you got the sports banquet, it's at the high school gym, 6 p.m., that is mañana. The kindergarten graduations tomorrow, all those other graduations, she has one for each grade level for some reason. They're all smart. She has one for tomorrow.
And I'm not moving.
Elementary field day, that is Wednesday, isn't it?
It's supposed to be the 21st.
That should be 21st. We're cooking hot dogs. Are y'all gonna be there?
I'll be there.
Okay.
I'll be-
Mr. Travis, you gonna be there? Are you gonna? If not,
Right now, it looks like I should be, but
okay, or if you can, come, they
I'll
love,
be, if I am, I'll be there in the morning.
okay, they love seeing board members. Ms. Crawford, did you say you were gonna be able to make it?
Yes, sir.
Awesome, yeah, because it's really cool seeing the board members out there. The kids really kind of get to see you and they, you know, the people that they don't ever have to see very much, so. Okay, and, school law conference, June 5th through 7th. Were any of y'all planning on attending that this year?
I will not be attending that.
No. I'll be out.
I would love to go, but, Gabe is shipping off on the 11th,
Where from?
from Amarillo.
Oh, okay, good, so you just go down and let you do that.
Yeah, so we're having this party that weekend.
I mean, I thought it could be somewhere like the East Coast.
No, he's
Shipping.
shipping, well, no, we take him to Amarillo and then he flies to Great Lakes, Illinois. For boot camp.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. Which camp?
Boot.
Do you know what it's called? Like Lejeune? Boot.
As they make the announcement.
Do you know where?
Great Lakes Naval Station.
She goes, what camp? She goes, boot.
What camp?
So anyone else, if you are interested, let me know in the next few days, because that's when the motel reservations have to be made. If not, I've got one because I have all kinds of meetings there anyway. I have a motel already at the place, at the conference, but it's kind of hard to do. So I need to know within the next few days, or I can still make you a reservation, but it won't be at that motel, just to let you know. If I don't hear anything, I won't make any reservations. That's what I have on it. And then all I have is just regular district projects, paving projects. Still, the paving projects, those two are still very up to date on the next two that we're gonna apply for the LGRF for, which is the land grant road fund. And the other thing that I really don't have on here was fundraising. We're gonna look at reformation of our fundraising system because we have more and more activities. We have a cheer team that's got 22 kids instead of 8. We have a rocket program, we've got a robotics program, and they're all robust, doing great. And then we've got a cooking, we've got drama, we've got so many things now, and they all, like even shop class where they can raise money or they can do a fundraiser, like they can auction things off. We're gonna start kind of getting, and then there's athletics, the whole thing. We just want it where, say, Miss Crawford has an office right up the street, where there's not 25 cute little kids asking for money because you watch it, I'm just saying if it was me, I'm just trying to say if I was one of the, even Randy's small business in town, well, you've got 25 people asking you with this cute kid standing in front of me, you're not gonna tell them no, but you're gonna be like, that's dadgum school, do they not have the money to do anything? You know, that's kind of that, it does, I'm sorry, but that's the way I would see it.
Well, and a lot of community members do say that.
Yes.
The school has all this money.
But we're having to pay, and I'm, well,
I'm
because
cutting my door all the time.
because we can't just give everything for every, summer programs, for instance. If they wanna go to summer school, they have to raise the money. Parents have to pay, or they have to go actively fundraise. We're gonna try and put parameters on it, guardrails on it, where it's not just, here, give me some money and write me a check. No, it needs to be a service for a service. There needs to be a maximum, like $500 per kid. We're gonna start trying to put something together, so it's not just crazy all over the place. Does that,
Thank
do you guys think that would be something?
Amy said thank you.
Yeah, Amy, see, that's what, cause she's right
Thank
there, I'm really, you would have, they've got to be hitting the ones up that they see all the time.
Yeah,
so
when there's 22 of them, and I mean, and that, I'm just using this as the most recent example. When there are 22 of them, and we've already been hit up with 4 of them asking for $1,500. Holy moly, that for one sport.
Yes. I didn't even know that, but there's gotta be a guardrail on it because it does get out of hand. And these poor local businesses, the small businesses are all getting hit, you know. And so if they wanna do corporations, we're gonna say, corporate, like, let's call Chevron, let them, call different. Devon, there's HydroFlow, HydroSource, Aquaflow, tap rock, art rock, all these things here that they're not asking. Well, just quit asking the same five and let's give them we're thinking of developing a list. You go around to these corporations, they're all here in town. Yeah, as a group, instead of, so we're gonna start working on some reform in that. I've been talking to the AD and Mr. Little both, so we can get some kind of meaningful reform in that fundraising system. Elementary does a little bit, but they aren't affected as much because they do like maybe the cookies or the gift wrap or just a few things a year.
Yeah, we just did it too, and then we can pass forward to where.
We've seen the greatest expansion in secondary programs, and of course, with that expansion means different things that they want to go do.
Yeah, we're all good for contributing, but
Right.
But come on.
yeah, absolutely. It's just kind of crazy.
Yes, and
That much money and not, I had so many questions. How much money
Yes.
do they need and what are we paying for and what are they needing to raise money for other than camp? But if it's camp, that's summer business. That's on you and your parents.
Yes, that's true. Mr. Little, did you have anything else on that, or? No?
Cute uniforms, I guess are expensive.
Cute uniforms. Yeah, we got, I guess, cute uniforms for summer, but yes, we got to put some kind of deal parameter. And
That got out kind of, without our, it slipped consent.
Yeah.
That's what I heard. Yes, that's exactly what Mr. Schneider
There
said.
was
Was,
Form that wasn't followed, it was like the perfect storm of fundraising. So anyway, we are working on that, just to let you know, we'll be seeing something. And that's all that I have.
All right, everybody's hearts and minds clear tonight?
yes, ma'am.
All right, we need a motion to adjourn at 7:42.
I make a
Go,
motion.
Randy.
All right, anyway, you want to second it?
Second, yes.
All right, all in favor? I'm ready to
Yes,
go.
ma'am.
Thanks, guys.
You got a short-
Thank you, Mrs. Art.